going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham. So good morning to everyone out there who is struggling, because I, for one, is definitely struggling after last night. Obviously, we lost 1-0 to Burnley, but not only that, we've had the big interviews and press conferences from Antonio Conte, and the big question on everyone's lips now is, will Conte walk out of this club? Which is very hard to fathom. But how we're going to structure this one today, we're going to start off with the match review, and then we're going to go into Antonio Conte. We're going to play his press conference for you again, and then we're going to make our own conclusions from what we're thinking about the whole Antonio Conte situation. And then obviously we're going to go through Twitter to see how they reacted to the game, and then it is your chance to have your say on the game last night and on Antonio Conte as well. But let's start off with the match review. We lost 1-0 at Turf Moor in, wasn't a great display by any stretch of the imagination. I thought Burnley did a job on us. They played really well, as you know Burnley can do. We were talking in the preview leading up to this game exactly what we were expecting from Burnley, and that's exactly what we got, wasn't it? Yeah, and let's be honest, the game pretty much went exactly as expected. We were just hoping we would get the goal rather than Burnley from a set piece or whatever it was, and nothing about yesterday's game surprised me. I knew it was going to be very difficult to create opportunities from open play against them. I knew we were going to have quality from wide areas to be able to really hurt Burnley. I knew that in the central areas they were going to clog it up and be very compact and be very deep and be very aggressive, and it wasn't going to be easy. And Spurs did try different solutions. We had Kulu at right wing back at one point. We had Bergwijn at left wing back at one point. We were literally going gung-ho, trying our best to get a goal, but unfortunately it wasn't enough, and I can understand why Conte is so frustrated, to be honest. I don't think, in terms of the display in general, I think first half it was very meh. Like, it was just very we didn't give up anything. We didn't hurt them at all. We weren't really asking any questions of them. It was a very dull game in the first half, and we let it pass us by pretty much. I think we tried to step up in the second half. Whatever people want to say, I did think actually Winks made a bit of a positive impact when he came on, and I actually people will look to blame him, but I don't think he was that bad actually, Harry Winks, to be fair to him. So I think we started to move the ball a bit quicker. We hit the bar very early on. Ben Davies had an opportunity that Nick Pope saved. Kulusevski could have had a goal. Had a decent chance, and he flashed it just wide. And it looked like if a goal was coming, it was going to be from us. And then we were hit by a sucker punch by Ben Mee. And I knew as soon as that goal went in, it was going to be, It was over. Yeah, it was going to be 10 times harder to get anything out of that game, because we were kind of at our limit just to create a chance, let alone get a goal. You know what I mean? It was so hard for us to create anything. It's hard to describe. It was like trying to draw water from a stone or something. It was just like nearly impossible, to try and get a chance out of these lot. When you have a team that sets up as well as Burnley do, defend as resolutely as Burnley do, put everyone behind the ball like they did after they got their goal, I mean, obviously it's going to come increasingly hard. But I completely agree with you in what you're saying. I mean, the first half wasn't great, but second half, I think we came out with a bit of a point to prove. We were kind of all over them, trying to get that goal, albeit we only had kind of 2 shots on target the entirety of the game. But when Burnley scored, it was 100% against a run of play. 100% against a run of play. And when you're watching the second half, we were sitting here watching, and I said to you just moments before the Burnley scored, I said, a goal's coming, a goal's coming, a goal's coming. And it did come, just went the other way, completely against the run of play. Yeah, and if I've seen other teams win a Turf Moor, and you need to kind of scrap your way to it. Arsenal, when they won 1-0, and it was thanks to a free kick from Odegaard, a really good free kick, to be fair, but it's a set piece that they've got a goal from. Liverpool only won 1-0 there. Liverpool won 1-0, and there was also a scrappy goal from a corner. Fabinho scrambles it home, and they just about get over the line. It's not an easy place to go and create chances. The best teams have gone there and struggled to create chances. It is never an easy game, and you need the rub of the green, and we just didn't get that. But when you don't
when things aren't going for you, or if it's not going in, you have to make sure you're not conceding. Because if you concede a goal, there's little chance you'll score one, let alone two. And if you're asking yourselves to turn a game against Burnley away around with 2 goals late on, you're asking for trouble. It's not going to happen. They're going to be too resolute. You might get 1 goal, but it's very highly unlikely you're going to be able to scramble 2 goals home. So you got to make sure you're keeping that clean sheet and make sure you're defending right and make sure you're not giving them anything, any encouragement. And also no stupid set pieces, so that if one chance does come away and you put it away, you win the game instead of scrambling for a draw and rushing things. And that's what happened.
Giving away these set pieces and these stupid positions time and time again in the game, and it was inevitable that we were going to get punished at one stage.
Yeah,
and it came, but the cross comes in, and Ben Mee beats Romero in the air, and I thought Romero actually played really well yesterday, but unfortunately he was the one that was at fault for the goal yesterday. Yeah,
he got out jumped by Ben Mee. To be honest, it wasn't one of those where he didn't go for it. He does jump, but he just gets out jumped, and he has to, I don't know, look, I have to watch it back and to see what he could have done better, but he does get caught out, and obviously that costs us. Do I think Lloris could do better? I think a more commanding goalkeeper than Hugo Lloris would have come out and got that. It's never been Lloris's forte, coming out and claiming things. I do think he does it well when there's a clear path for him to do it, but there are other keepers who will push players aside and just go for and just come and claim, like Courtois and keepers like that, who are very good at coming in, claiming crosses and being authoritative. And that's just not Lloris. That's not what he's been good at throughout his career. He either tends to punch or he tends to stay on his line, and he stayed. And that's probably another reason that cost us. But that's the thing. We had to make sure we're not conceding any goals, and then maybe look, if we don't concede in that moment, who knows? We could have gone on 1-1 that game. Then I don't see why not. Well, we could have found a moment. We were the ones on top of that, as you say, when we conceded. I don't think yesterday's performance was terrible. It was bad because when you go to Burnley away, you want to create more chances, but it's very, very difficult. And I don't think the performance-wise, that was maybe what has got Conte reacting the way he did. I don't think it was yesterday's performance. I just think it's the situation in general, having lost 4 in 5 now. At the end of the day, a loss is a loss, and it really damages us in the top 4 race, whatever way you look at it. And it was all well and good saying, it's difficult and this and that, but at the end of the day, we might be out of the top 4 race because of it now. And that just to a manager of Conte's standard is completely unacceptable. And he doesn't want to be under those in that situation. So I don't think yesterday's performance was, the worst thing I've ever seen that people might be saying it is. But I just think the situation that we've ended up in because of the result yesterday means that the situation is pretty bad.
Yeah. And I think that when you're looking at all these games that we've lost, the Southampton game was especially bad. Obviously, Chelsea, we never expected anything from that game. The Wolves game, I thought after the first 20 minutes, I don't think we were even that bad in that game. It's just what the whole form and what the results table is kind of representing at the moment. 4 losses in 5 games. And when 3 of those losses come against Wolves, Southampton and Burnley, you're looking at it and being like, bloody hell, there's no chance we're going to get this top 4 if we're pulling out these kind of results. And when you're looking at the table now, 2 weeks ago, when you looked at the table, we were in pole position, and now we're in the worst position out of everyone.
By far, probably.
So, I mean,
Arsenal 3 points ahead with the game in hand.
And if we don't get in top 4, I mean, I don't think Conte, as much as people were saying Conte's going to walk after this game, I don't think Conte will walk from now to the end of the season, but he will walk in the summer. If maybe we don't get top 4, we can't get the targets he wants in, and then Harry Kane's going to make noises and all this kind of stuff. So it's all what this whole thing represents. It's not about individual games. It's looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, and obviously there was. I'm not trying to say we played well yesterday, because there was a lack of quality in a lot of moments where we needed there to be a lot more quality. It's like Emerson. I think actually had one of his better games, but again,
still poor though.
Exactly. Once he gets in the final third, not enough from him. I want to see more from him with quality inside the box. I think there are a few moments he did his best. For example, when Davis did have that chance, it was only because Emerson kept that ball alive and kept it in the box, which were able to create that opportunity, and we nearly scored from it. I think he did get forward really well, and I think a few times he was finding Kulu inside the box, and maybe Kulu could have done better. But still, there are opportunities there where he's completely free on the right-hand side. Kane's finding him, and he's putting a ball in the box, and the quality's not there. He's not finding a man. He's not whipping it in. It's floated. It's easy to defend against, and we need to be doing better in that situation. Session on the other side, I don't think I think for who he is as a player, I don't think he did badly. Like there was one moment where he burst into the box, he put it across the face of goal, and that was a really good moment, and I think he did well. But when I think Conte relies so heavily on those wing-back areas, when they're only playing at 6 out of 10s, that really hurts you, kind of thing.
With Sessegnon, I was actually a bit disappointed with Sessegnon yesterday, because there were a few moments with Sessegnon where he's getting the ball on the left-hand side, he's one-on-one with the defender, and yeah, he does take on his man and try and get something, but that was too few and far between. There were so many times in the game yesterday where Sessegnon gets it on the left-hand side, you're going, attack that defender, get across in the box, and he either attacks the defender and fails to get the cross in the box, or he just checks back and passes it backwards. And the quality just wasn't there from Sessegnon last night, as opposed to when maybe you're looking at better performances against like the Liverpools and the Man Cities and stuff like that, when he's actually asked to have the ball and take on his man and actually provide positively for the team without the defensive work that he was doing in those Liverpools and Man City games. He's found wanting a lot of the time. One
thing about our wing backs, which I think definitely Conte, I don't know whether I'm pretty sure they're just not doing it, but Conte, we know from how he likes to play, when one wing back has the ball in an attacking position, he likes the furthest wing back on the opposite side to get in the box and be in an attacking position, and that's something we've seen Reguilon do on good occasions, and he's nearly got a few goals from it, and he's gotten a lot of very good positions from it. But it's not something we see from Emerson and Sessegnon. I very rarely see them in the box trying to hurt the opposition. I rarely see them in a very goal-scoring position. And the reason why playing, especially when you play against a back four, that is so crucial, is because they unless the winger is tracking them all the way back to the back post, which is very unlikely, they're going to be free at the back post. They're going to have a free opportunity at goal if they break their necks to get into the box. All of a sudden, with because you got Son, Kulu and Kane already in the box, going to be marked from by the defender, that guy can become a free man. So I think that's where the quality of the fullbacks is lacking. I think not just quality on the ball, but positionally, we don't see them in the positions that we know Conte's fullbacks like to be in a lot. And Marcos Alonso was brilliant at that. Victor Moses was very good at that. They've in the past they've had very good wing backs. Hakimi was thriving at that as well. But Emerson and Sessegnon, especially, I think Reguilon does it, but I think Sessegnon and Emerson, I very rarely see them in the box, and that's something that they need to improve on. Definitely. Even Doherty against Leicester, he was there a lot of the time. But Emerson, we never see him there.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And you know what? It's a really hard one to take this morning. Not just because of the loss, but just because of the whole mess surrounding this club at the moment. It's just really hard to take. I mean, the whole of the fan base is completely up in arms right now. I mean, I was listening to TalkSport on the way in. Some fans calling in, laying into Conte. Some fans calling in, laying into Levy. I mean, I don't know which way to turn, but in terms of more on the game last night, was there anyone that kind of impressed you in terms of moving forward?
I don't think anyone impressed me no one did anything I didn't expect. I think Romero had a good game. I think defensively, to be honest, apart from the set pieces, I think from open play we had them. We were pretty solid. I think, especially in the second half, I think we actually dominated. We had a lot more possession than we did in the first half in dangerous areas, and I think for me personally, I think Romero had a good game. I think Dyer had a pretty good game. I think he was playing some really nice passes in and around the penalty area.
Having thought about it last night, I actually thought Dyer was our best player.
Yeah, I think he had a really good game actually, Eric Dyer. In the forward areas, there wasn't many. I think Kulu was probably our most involved attacker. He was the one getting in the positions, but unfortunately he didn't make that quality count. He had obviously that one opportunity where he nearly found the back post, but that went just wide. He was the one, though, operating in spaces to hurt Burnley. I felt Son and Kane were stifled. I'm not going to lie. They were marked out the game. They weren't able to really affect things.
Yeah,
and
even when Son got on the ball, he was making weird decisions last night. His decision making, I thought, was terrible last night. And Son should be doing a lot better because he was getting the ball, beating a man, getting in some open spaces. He did have time and space on his hands yesterday, Sonny, more than Kane did. And I thought Son should be doing a lot better with the moments that he did have.
Yeah, I've quite questioned it before, and it's these kind of games that make it more that make it evident that this inside left forward position, as I said, I don't think he cannot play. I don't think he's terrible there. But I've always said, does it get the best out of him? And I think we're yet to see the best Son in that position, just as of yet. And I think in games like yesterday, Son, we all know Son thrives with wherever the space is. That's where he lives. He's always the best. So that's why, when we play City and we play Liverpool, he always looks so good because he's always got oceans of space to run into, and that's what he loves. Also, in games like yesterday, he's much better when he's playing out on the left-hand side as opposed to a bit in the centre because that's where the space is. When he's taking on a fullback, whipping it across, that's where he can find the space. So I think yesterday it was he did have a few opportunities to make it count, and actually there was one moment where he did find Kulu to nearly score, and that was a good breakaway, and he did well there, and that time laying off for Kulu. But you're right, there was one moment he could have slid in Kane, he didn't. That was really disappointing, and I think for a large part of the game he was stifled in the central areas because I think when he's got so many defenders around him in tight spaces, he struggles a bit, Sonny. And unless he's going to manoeuvre a shooting opportunity, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to be operating in those kind of spaces. Harry Kane had about 4 players whenever he touched the ball.
Literally, yeah. He did a proper job on him last night. Yeah. They decided to not let him go whenever he went deep. They decided to track him all the way.
But the difference between that and when happened against City is against City, they also tracked him, but because they were pressing so high, they had all those players. They had all that space behind Kane when he was being tracked, which means if he got to turn, he could find an easy pass to Kulu or Son in behind to hurt them. When we played Burnley, Kane was being tracked, yet the rest of the defence was so deep, and there was also maybe the defensive midfielders as well filling in position. When he was able to turn and when he was able to actually wriggle away, which was actually not many occasions, it happened on 2 or 3 occasions, there was still a massive wall to get past, rather than all the oceans of space to play into. And so they clearly had a plan for how Kane likes to operate, and it worked. And whenever Kane stayed up front, they just outnumbered him, and it was very difficult for him to, he was resorting to long effort, long shots, which were going nowhere. He did kind of nearly get one with his left foot from 25 yards, went just wide, and he did hit the bar as well from a set piece. But other than that, he did have very, very little yesterday, Harry Kane.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But look, I guess that's all we can say on the game last night. It was 1-0 loss at Turf Moor, which could be very detrimental in terms of our top 4 hopes this season. So let's move on.
Got a super chat here from Sean Butler. Yeah. He says, we need to pay attention to the opposition shifts from press to contain and vice versa. We play at the same pace, regardless of what they are doing in game. Saints wrote the book on how to play us.
Yeah, I think many clubs have wrote the book on how to play us, because if you pressure us and if you press us and if you make it horrible for us, ultimately we're going to fall.
Yeah. And I think there were moments yesterday with Burnley were doing that, and I don't think we dealt too badly with them pressing. I think we struggled very much about them sitting very deep. But I think maybe teams are just starting to work us out and how to play against us.
I think they've worked us out for a while now.
Well, only past 5 games. You know what I mean?
What do you mean the past 4 or 5 games? It's been happening for years.
No, I'm saying under Conte, it's a different way of playing.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of the whole picture, I mean, in terms of the whole picture, you know, we got worked out under Jose Mourinho, we got worked out under Nuno, we got worked out under Poch, and now we're getting worked out under Conte. So there's a bigger picture here that we need to look at, that the squad is not getting the right input that's needed. And I fail to blame Pochettino, I fail to blame Mourinho, and I fail to blame Antonio Conte for the mess we're in right now.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Conte has a very specific system, and it was working for a time, and now teams are getting wise to it, and teams are starting to plan how we set up and how to best combat that. And there are serious flaws with not just, there's not really the system, but the players that we have in the system that we play, and that's a big problem.
If you don't have two top wing backs in a Conte system, it's going to be very hard to implement the style he wants. And that's just the facts of the matter. And when you've got wing backs like Sessegnon, who's trying to make a name for himself, who's not just there just yet, Emerson, who's getting to grips with the league, who's never played that position before, Doherty, who's clearly not good enough, Reguilon, yeah, maybe he's the one of them that's good enough, but still, when you've got one of them, it's just not good enough, and we're not going to be able to implement a Conte system with these wing backs. We're just not going to.
Yeah, and it's difficult. It's very difficult to see how moving forward it's going to change.
Having said that we're not going to be able to implement a Conte system. If Conte's I'm not saying if, because he is. Now Conte's the world-class manager that everyone says he is. Surely he needs to be working out different other systems to work with the squad that he has. And
he did. He played with the three in the middle, but he hasn't abandoned it. But maybe he feels he can't play that because of the options available. Maybe that's just the case. But he was playing 3-5-2 and he plays 3-4-3. But he needs to start trying different things, because at the moment it seems like 3-4-3 every time we play it. I know we played against Man City and it worked, but you know, teams are, whenever the onus is on us and we're favourites in the game and the onus on us to attack, teams are picking us off and we're too easy to play against.
Teams do not care about giving us possession.
No, they don't.
That's the problem. Like, in possession, we're so bad. If teams make it compact for us, they press us while we're in possession, we literally falter every single time. And the best games we've had this season is when we concede possession to other teams and we spring on them on the counter attacks and stuff like that. That's the only times that we've pretty much looked good this season.
Well, I think as well, as Conte said, it wasn't counter attacks, but what it was very quick, direct passing, which if you get it right, can play into spaces very, very quickly, and it can really hurt the opposition. But when a team comes up, when you come up against a team like Burnley, you know, because against Man City, because they're pressing so high, 2 or 3 passes very quickly can get you in behind, as showed with the first goal. But against Burnley, you're going to need more than that, because 2 or 3 passes gets you into midfield, and then all of a sudden you've got another wall to get past. It's not just they're not just pressing to the halfway line, and it's not as simple as 2 or 3 quick passes gets you into the space and in behind. It happened a couple times, as we said with Son when he laid off the Kulu and stuff like that. That it did happen a couple times where we got in those positions, but we didn't make the most of them. But other than that, we weren't able to really do that against Burnley, because they were defending too deep and compact and resolutely. And when teams come up like that, you need to find different solutions and different ways of playing and being patient. And it seems like when we are patient and we do play around, apart from the last minute against Man City, which obviously we got a really nice goal, we do tend to struggle to create opportunities, and that's something Conte needs to figure out.
All right, well, I guess that was the real end to the match review. We'll end it there. But let's move on. I got a super chat here from Brian Daigle, member for 18 months, Brian. He says, Conte was right to say what he said. These players simply aren't good enough. Keeping it in-house didn't work with the other managers. #Levy out. Yeah, there's all this narrative that, keeping it in-house didn't work with the other managers. I mean, Jose didn't really leave it in-house. He kept saying it. Different managers, same players and all this kind of stuff. Pochettino came out and was like, this club needs a serious rebuild and blah, 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 and everything he said about it's no point having a big house if you can't put nice furniture in it. So, yeah, Conte is more emotional and angry than other managers, but I don't think the other managers really kept it in-house.
I think they did until it started to go wrong. That's pretty much that's like with most managers. I think with Pochettino, I think he did say that. He said nice new house, nice furniture, all that kind of stuff. And he said we have to start acting like a big club if we're going to be a big club. We have to start operating in a different way, which is absolutely right. And we're still operating the same way, to be honest, since he said that, in my opinion. But would I say they've kept it in-house? I don't think necessarily they've kept it in-house, the other managers. I think they've been pretty forthright with how they feel, but also feel like they haven't been as explicit as Conte's been, in terms of just calling out what he thinks the problems are and saying how he feels, as opposed to just saying, like, because Conte pretty much said like, I could say, we have another game Saturday and we go again, and all this kind of stuff and all these platitudes, things like that. But he said he sees big problems and he can't run away from that, and he has to have his eyes open to that. And I think, look, we'll get into it in a sec, his comments, but I think that he's trying to say, like, I think he's more trying to say, look, if I'm not good enough, then who is, kind of thing. That's what I'm trying.
That's absolutely spot on.
That's what I think. Look, we'll get into. I think we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, just a few super chats, and then we'll go and see how Twitter reacted, and then we'll get into the Conte stuff. Max Stevens says, if Conte had a meeting with Levy now and they fell out over transfer plans already, I don't blame him for walking. But if he walks right now purely because it's tough right now, then he isn't above criticism. Which is an interesting one, but we'll delve very deep into that when we go past the Conte problems and the Conte issues. Josh Bonner saying, these wing-backs, they never get in behind or cross. I thought the point in wing-backs was to create an overload, lap on one side and cross.
I do think they create overloads. I think that's wrong. I think, especially Emerson, I do think he gets in that position. It's just when he does, there's not a lot of quality. And he's definitely right, especially, I think... They don't. I think they struggle to get in behind. I think that's true. I think they're not, especially Emerson. He doesn't tend to run beyond the defender, or when he does, he's not really found. And one thing that for me, the big one, is they don't get in the box enough, and that's the big one for me.
And Max Stevens says, to continue on from his previous super chat, he says, to clarify, not saying the team isn't poor, it is for sure, but Conte should at least wait and see if we back him in the summer. Like I said, we'll get into that quite heavily soon. Jack Doherty says, if he walks, I truly hope this is the last straw for all of us. Full-on boycott of the club. There is only down from here if he goes. And it's hard to disagree with that. But anyway, let's move on and let's see how Twitter reacted to the game last night.
All right. So let me just get... But a lot of it's about Conte, so should we maybe go through Conte first?
All right, we'll go to Conte first, and then we'll go and see how Twitter reacted. Shall we start off with the press conference?
Yeah, let's rewatch the press conference, see re-see his comments. Also, he made some comments to the BBC, which I want to talk about because he was quite more explicit to the BBC, I felt, yesterday. But this is what he had to say in his press conference, which everyone is talking about, and then we'll discuss some other comments he made in other interviews, and we'll discuss what we think.
Hi, Antonio.
Hi.
What was your assessment of the game today, and why do you think your team found it so much more difficult to make the space that they successfully made against Manchester City on Saturday?
I don't want to comment the game, and I want to comment only the situation that in the last 5 games we lost four times. This is the reality. But no performance, no space. The reality is this, that we lost 4 games the last 5 games. I think no one deserves this type of situation. And the club, me, the players, the fans, but this is the reality. I came in to try to improve the situation in Tottenham, but maybe maybe in this moment, I don't know, but I'm not so good to improve the situation. And yeah, for me, it's very frustrating because I know that we are working hard, we are working a lot, and we are trying to get out the best of single players. But the reality is this, and I think I'm too honest to close my eyes and to tell, okay, and on Saturday we are going to play another game, and I think that it's right the moment to see well which is the situation, and to make assessment. Also, I repeat, and I'm really frustrated, and I'm not used and to face with this type of situation. And but the problem that I repeat, I'm trying to do everything and to change the situation, but the situation is not changing. Someone has to speak about the race for the fourth place, and the reality that in the last 5 games, and we have to pay attention, don't fight for the relegation zone. This is the truth. This is the reality. And when happen this type of situation, maybe there is something wrong. And I don't want to close my eyes, and I want to take my responsibility. If I have the responsibility, and I'm open for every decision, because I want to help Tottenham. And for the first day that I arrived here, I want to help Tottenham. And I repeat, I'm too honest to close my eyes and to continue in this way. And yeah, also to take my salary, but it's not right in this moment.
Alistair Gold, please.
Hi there, Antonio. I mean, you touched on it there briefly. I mean, obviously, this is a situation that you're not used to. I mean, has there been any club before where you've struggled with the consistency of your team and to find some stability? And if not, where do you draw any experience on to change it?
Believe me, we are working a lot. We are working a lot. We are working hard, and every day. And I think that we are doing everything to try to improve the situation, but maybe it's not enough. It's not enough. And I repeat, for me, it's very frustrating. 4 defeats in the last 5 games. This is the first time in my life that happened this type of situation. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not so good. I'm not so good I'm not. Maybe I'm not so good. Yes, I'm not so good, and I think Tottenham called me to improve the situation, but I'm too honest. I'm too honest to close my eyes. You understand, and to continue to tell, okay, but I want to finish my season in this way, and okay, but my salary is good. No, but I'm not this type of person. I have ambition. I'm a person that I have ambition. I hate to lose, and we lost, I repeat, 4 games in the last 5 games. And for me, I repeat, this is unacceptable, and I want to accept this, and I want to try, yeah, to move the situation, also to make assessment with the club, because if we continue in this way, maybe, and we have to pay great attention, and because yeah, this league, and we can finish 10, 12, 13, and in the same way that when I arrive here, no, the same position.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Okay, so That was every word Antonio Conte had to say last night in the press conference. He made even more damning statements in the BBC interview as well. Should we go through the little quotes he said there, or the big quotes, shall I say?
Yeah, I mean, he was really talking very explicitly about leaving. To be honest, to the BBC, he says, "I came here to help the club, and if the problem could be the coach, I'm ready to go. No problem." He says, "I'm not used to this situation. I'm trying everything, but the situation is not changing." He said that Tottenham, I came in to improve the situation at Tottenham, and just like they gave me the job, I'm ready to go home, and I'm ready to if I'm not the answer, if I'm not the person to change the situation, I'm ready to go, and it's up to the club whether they think I'm the right person to change the situation. He said, "I'm giving 20 hours of my day to Tottenham, and I sleep the rest of the 4 hours a day, but it's not enough. It's not enough to change it." So he said, "I'm ready to go." That's what he said. "I'm ready to go," which is like, wow, you're literally just saying it. Like he said, he said the performance can be good, commitment was good, but we lost. For me, the situation is unacceptable. I came here to try and improve. Maybe in this moment, I'm not so good. They're similar to what you said in the press conference, but he was just being very explicit about, him just willing to leave if he's not the right person for the job.
Do you think what are you thinking about this? Do you think it's a bit unprofessional from Conte to come out like this?
Yeah, probably. I think you don't want. Look, as a player, you'd imagine that you don't want your manager saying that kind of stuff in TV interviews. Or definitely the club don't. That's for sure. Definitely looks very bad on them if their manager is saying these kind of things. We as a manager of the caliber of Conte, you expect him, instead of saying, after 4 losses in 5, instead of saying, I don't think I'm the right man and these kind of things, you want him to start saying, look, we're going to find different solutions. We're going to try different things. But maybe the situation's worse from the inside than it is than we can see, because as much as it's bad, 4 losses in 5 is bad. No doubt about it. That's a bad situation to be in, but it's off the back of 9 games unbeaten, 6 wins, 3 draws, like playing fairly well as well during that period. So I know we've hit a bad patch, but it's not like we've lost. Okay, yeah, we've lost like 4 out of 5. It was very bad, and I'm guessing he's looking at it from the context of the caliber of teams he's had and the runs they've been on, and they've been on big winning runs, and he's not used at all to having a team that's capable of losing 4 out of 5 games. But in terms of like the top 4 race, like we are a very bad situation, but we're not completely out of it. So if we can turn it around, you can still get back into it. So you want him to be positive, and you want him to be like, yeah, look, we can find solutions, we can turn it around. I believe in this team, but he has to believe it himself. And maybe I don't know. I'm trying to get my head around what he's saying, because is he really saying he's willing to walk away from the situation right now? And that would look bad on him as much as it looks bad on us as well. If he just, because it is kind of the first sign of trouble. It is 4 out of 5. I know 4 out of 5 defeats is a bad run of form, but he can't leave after 1 defeat. Like this is the first like sign of trouble he's had at Tottenham, and he's all of a sudden threatening to leave. Like that's not a situation you want to be in. But then again, maybe he needs to give these players a reality check of what's going on, and maybe he needs to tell them, look, you need to start getting results for me, otherwise I don't know how much more I can take of this.
Yeah, I mean, he did come out and not saying he's ready to walk and stuff like that, but after we lost to Mura, he gave a very kind of damning statements in his post-match interviews and press conferences as well. So it's not exactly the first time he's come out and been super negative about this squad. And,
no.
And many managers have done it in the poll. Not many, but Mourinho was saying similar things. Different managers, same players, and all that kind of stuff. And as much as I kind of agree with Jose and Conte about the state of the squad and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really sit right with me that only a few days ago he was saying, "Oh, this is one of the best groups of players I've ever worked with," and now he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to walk."
Yeah,
and all this kind of stuff.
do you think that's hypocritical?
A little bit, yeah.
See, I didn't read into when he said this is the best group of players I worked with. I didn't read into that him saying, because I think even in these interviews he's continued to say these players work really hard, they're committed, like they're trying their best. Like when he said that against Man City, I didn't read that as to say quality wise they're one of the best. I read to say like in terms of commitment, hard work, in terms of winningness, they're one of the best. And I still think I don't think he said anything to the contrary. He's continued to say about these players, they're trying their best, they're working as hard as possible, but it's not enough. That's what he's saying. So I didn't think what he said last week was him saying this is the best group, like quality wise. I think he meant like, because then he said as well they're also the best people as well. I think that's what he was trying to say, like they're hard working, they're willing to give their all, but unfortunately the quality just isn't there. Yeah. And I think that's that's because he even said that after Mura. Like he hasn't once questioned the work ethic of this squad, not once. He said after Mura, he said you can work, you can try really hard, you can and you can work your best, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes hard work isn't enough, and sometimes that's even more scary than the team not trying hard enough.
That definitely is more scary. But the thing is, right, it's too much. It's too much for our emotions as a fan base, as a football club, and all this stuff. Like 1 week when you win, you're on top of the world, everything's brilliant, and then you lose and everything's the worst thing in the world. I mean, we just need a bit of level ground here. It's just too much to take for our emotions, all of this stuff. It's just like,
I agree.
Jekyll and Hyde. It's like 1 week everything's amazing, the next week everything's the worst thing in the world. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what to think about this whole thing, because at one hand I completely agree with Conte. On the other hand, I'm thinking like this is a bit too much. So I really don't know what to think, to be honest.
Definitely causes a lot of stress when he says all this kind of stuff, because people could, I'll continue wondering, because the thing is, ever since he came to Tottenham, everyone's been wondering when he's going to leave, pretty much.
After every loss, basically, the rumours come out.
Yeah, I mean, well, he didn't lose up until Chelsea, did he?
Yeah.
Which was not even that long ago. That was at the end of January now, wasn't it? End of January or end of December? End of January.
Our first loss?
League game, yeah.
Against Chelsea.
Yeah, was that January?
It was January, I think it was, yeah.
So it wasn't even that long ago. So, like, things were going pretty well. So for him to have turned... But the thing is, he's turned, but he hasn't, like... He has been saying all along, like, this squad, the quality at Tottenham isn't so high, and he's like, anymore, and all this kind of stuff. Do you reckon maybe he feels like we could have done more in January? Maybe he's a bit annoyed about that. Maybe he thinks that in January, because I'm reading from Del Piero. Del Piero do you see this quote from Del Piero? So let me see if I can get it up. From Romano tweeted it out, and I think this maybe gets into maybe his psychology a bit more. Bloody hell, where is it? Let me see if I can get it up. 1 sec. Romano tweeted out. It's because Del Piero said, yeah. So Del Piero said, I was in London to meet Antonio Conte a few weeks ago. He said he was super happy about Tottenham, the board and the facility and the stadium. But he says, I feel the problem is about the players he needs to win titles. They sold 4 players in January and only signed 2. And that's coming from a player. Clearly, he's had an informal conversation with Conte as a friend. And I don't think Del Piero says that unless Conte feels that. I don't think Del Piero is going to set, like, unless Conte feels that it was a problem that we only signed 2 and sold 4. I don't think Del Piero is going to reiterate that, because I feel like they would have had a conversation. Conte probably said, like, they've left me short. And that's why Del Piero, because Del Piero doesn't know the problems, does he? He's hearing from Conte what the problems are from inside.
But it's clear. It's clear we got left short in the summer. I know these 4
in January.
In January, it's clear that you know, maybe these 4 players weren't influencing stuff like we like to, but you know, there were still times when Lo Celso came on. There were still times when Ndombele came on. In that Liverpool game, you know, Ndombele played really well that game and got an assist for the goal, a really good assist. So I mean, Dele Alli as well played in that Liverpool game. So it's not like they weren't getting any minutes whatsoever. It's not like they were completely outcasted. These players, there were still players that Conte called upon.
I was saying Lo Celso, as I said, when he got in after he got injured, he came back into the squad and he was playing. Like he started against Chelsea in the semi-final, in the cup semi-final. Against Leicester, he was the first player to come on when we were losing. Like he was a player that we were using, and then all of a sudden he got left out against Chelsea in the league game, and then he was gone the next couple of days later. Like all of a sudden he's a player who can't be trusted, and he's outcast and he's gone. It's like, what? That was very quick. And
at the time, Conte did say it in his conference. He has to use the line of the club.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, maybe not obviously, but I believe that in January they needed to get these players out, and I think maybe Conte was like, yeah, I'd accept these players going out if we bring players in. I don't think. I refuse to believe that Conte will be like, yeah, get these 4 midfielders out, but only bring 1 in.
The problem is as well, we've said it continually, we were short. Going into January, we were short. So now getting 2 players less or even shorter. And that's a problem. And quality-wise, whatever you want, as I keep saying, whatever you want to think of Ndombele and Lo Celso, quality-wise, they're midfielders that we don't have in the squad in terms of ability to, you know, like games like yesterday. I'm not saying if we had Ndombele and Lo Celso, we win. But if we have players who have ability in tight spaces in the final third, able to have a bit of vision and pick out passes and play little intricate passes and stuff like that. Yesterday, we didn't have players who can do that. And maybe if we had players of that skill set, it could have helped us open up Burnley a bit more and play within those tight spaces in and around the defence. And that is a big problem. And maybe Conte is frustrated about that. And I think, you know, when he's saying in his presser, and the interviews about him, you know, being ready to go, I think that's very clearly calling out the board. He's like saying, look, if you don't think I'm good enough, let me go. Get rid of me then if you don't think I'm up to the job. I think he's kind of he's kind of being maybe a bit facetious in that kind of way when he's talking about himself leaving and him not being so good and not being good enough. I think he's like maybe he is starting to feel the. There's no data again.
Excellent connection, it says.
We're back up, I think. Yeah, we're back? Yeah. All right, apologies about that, guys. As we were saying about Antonio Conte.
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely spot on in what Conte's saying. He completely backs himself all the time, Conte. And he's saying that's exactly what he's doing. He's sending messages to the board because of how it went in January. And we all said leading up to January, if we get rid of any player, no matter who that player is, we need to replace them. Mm-hmm. And we got rid of 4 and brought in 2.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the squad, that's into a squad that's already, and you can say, and look, Conte did say the squad is more complete, but maybe he meant, you know, players he can rely on, but not in terms of numbers. As he continued, said as well, in terms of numbers we're weaker, and he said that. And maybe he's still annoyed about that, and maybe we're starting to suffer from that at the moment, because since January's come along, we've lost 3 out of 4, because Chelsea was before. Well, Chelsea was in January, but we hadn't had Bentancur or Kulu before then. But ever since they've come, we've lost 3 out of 4 games, only being Man City. And I think maybe that's what he's trying to say. He's quite annoyed about that. Maybe these kind of conversations were more, you know, in most clubs they want to keep that in house, especially a club like Tottenham, who are very political, like in how they deal with things. They definitely want to keep that kind of stuff in house. But maybe the club need to hear it. Maybe the players need to hear it, and maybe that could shake something. Maybe when he says something needs to change, that's what he means. Maybe he need that just a bit of a shake up. Maybe he's saying that he needs to say something, because if he keeps quiet, and that I think that's what he's trying to say.
But what's going to change from now until the end of the season?
I don't know. But I'm just saying, like
what can change?
He said in his in one of the last parts, he said, look, I could just he said, he said I can just say, oh, you know, we have another game Saturday, and I can just take my wage, and I could just say nothing. But I'm too honest, and I think that's what he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say I need to say something because at the moment we're headed for a bad direction, and maybe he's trying to say like I need to shake things up a bit. I don't know.
What does that actually mean, though? Because, I mean, what can change from now until the end of the season? What does shaking up actually mean?
Psychology, how players think about it. That's all I can think. I don't know. What else could it mean?
Yeah, because I have no clue. And I think the only way you can change things is within a transfer window at this football club, because the quality of the squad is too low. And like he keeps saying, effort. We don't think effort is a problem within this squad.
No.
It's not effort, it's quality. So how do you change quality? It's in a transfer window. You can't change quality now, can you?
No.
So I mean, how do you shake things up and change it into a positive way? Because if you look at any of the players that started last night, any other player that comes in off the subs bench or anything like that is a massive downgrade.
It's pretty much our first team. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't
about.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it wasn't about not having players available or anything. I don't think yesterday it wasn't the problem. I don't see that as a problem anyway. Like yesterday, if we have everyone fit, maybe Skip gets in there. Like, well, other than that, like, is there anyone really? You know, you could have started Lucas over Kulu potentially, but does that really change much? Probably not. So yeah, it's
and
true.
people will say,
maybe it's a psychology thing with the players that are saying he needs to change. And maybe he thinks calling them out publicly might shake it up for them, because maybe he feels like, yeah, they're working hard, but maybe something mentally needs to change.
And people will say,
I don't know.
People will say, oh, Stinky thinks I'm melting, but people will say that, you know,
we're all melting.
What would people were saying? You're ice cold. You see, I'm phased. I mean, people will say, and I've seen a few comments like this saying like, oh, what would Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dele Alli, and all these players change last night? And maybe they wouldn't have, but at least there's an extra option that we can try. You know what I mean? At least we have no options that we can try.
As I'm saying, because yesterday, to change things up, you can bring in Lucas and Bergwijn, but that kind of game doesn't call for a Lucas or a Bergwijn. It calls for a Lo Celso and Ndombele to come on and change
More the
things.
latter, in my opinion.
Yeah, like that's the kind of player we needed. A bit of guile, a bit of intricate passing, someone who can maybe, when they're in and around the final third, can pick a very accurate pass in a tight space.
Players as well.
Yeah. Like Bergwijn and Lucas, they need space. They need players to run at and space to run into and things like that. So we don't have that, unfortunately, anymore. We don't even have the option of that. That's what I was saying. When we let go of Lo Celso and Ndombele, I was saying at least they stay. We have the option of maybe they can come back into the side and start proving themselves. Now they're gone. We don't even have that option anymore. We don't have that option of any of that player. So we've completely taken that out of the squad. We're now relying our creativity pretty much on Højbjerg, Bentancur, Winks and Skip in the centre for any sort of creativity to build up play. And maybe it'll be all right for a few games, but there will be a lot of games where they come unstuck, and yesterday was one of those where it was very difficult for them, and we could have done with a more creative player with a bit more guile, and unfortunately yesterday that wasn't even an option, and that was bad. But look,
will Conte walk? That's the question.
I don't think he will just yet. But potentially I think in the summer there's a big chance that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he'll stay to the end of the season.
And if he stay, let's say he stays to the end of the season, right, and we don't get top four, which looks very likely at this stage. If we don't get top four, screws up our whole transfer situation in terms of the players that we can bring in and the money that we can spend. Harry Kane clearly will look at it in a completely different way as well. And if Harry Kane goes, Conte's walking. If Conte walks, Harry Kane's going. So if we don't get top four and Conte does walk, where does this leave us as a football club?
Not in a very good situation. Not in a very good situation at all. And, you know, there's only so much I think Son can part with. We got him to sign a new contract. And I'm sure he's happy here, but like if Kane and Conte both walk, I don't see why he would continually be happy with the situation. I think we convinced him just about, because let's be honest, the contract talks were in January and he delayed all the way until the summer, didn't he? Like there was always all that talk, he's about to sign. He never did for about 6 months. So there's only so much longer he might, because I'm sure he's an ambitious guy as well. So, if this club at the moment, if they continue to go in the direction we're going in, it's going to be very difficult to see where we're going to be at in a year's time. The only way I think we can start going in another positive direction is if we get someone like Graham Potter in. And again, the problem is, what's going to need to happen is we need to get a manager of the mold of Graham Potter in, and then it's going to have to take another year for us to get up to his methods and be a good attacking player. And we're going to have to get a few signings, young players who whatever, and who we like. We're going to have to sell Kane. I think we're going to have to accept. I think probably Son as well. We're going to have to accept that we're selling them. Just get exactly and just build from the bottom up. That's the only way we can get back on the right track if all this seems to go to shit, which it seems to at the moment. I think we get like 200 million for them, hopefully, or whatever, something like that. Get 200 million for Kane and Son, just completely rebuild with younger players. Again, write off another year next year, and maybe get in Europa League. And then hopefully in another year's time, we're in a position where we can start challenging for top 4 again. That's the only way I see it going in a positive. That's like the best case scenario if it all goes to shit at the end of the season, basically.
But on the other side of it, with Antonio Conte, do we not think that he knew the situation he was walking into at this football club? Did he not know the situation that he was walking into? Because he should have known the situation, seeing as what's happened in the past with Pochettino, Mourinho, and everything like that.
I think he hinted at it when he was talking about in his Italian interview. He said, you see things from the outside, and you don't. Obviously, you think, I can come in and I can improve the situation, but you don't get the full picture until you're in it. And so I don't think it's possible to know the full picture until you're inside the club. You can be told things, and you can know that you can see problems and stuff like that, but you don't know the full extent of it until you're actually in the job. And maybe, he was maybe told by Paratici all the, this and that, and Levy as well, and they convinced him to come, and maybe you look, you can drag us to top 4, and maybe we'll give you a lot of money, you can win the title, because he doesn't come in to win top 4, to get top 4, as he said. He's a title winning manager. He only comes if he sees that ambition, and obviously he knows he's not going to win the title this year, but maybe he was convinced, look, we got Kane, we got Son, we got all these players
in front of his eyes a bit.
I
think this club is a complete illusion, right? Because you walk in the doors of the club at Hotspur Way, the best training ground in the world. You go to that stadium, it's the best stadium in the world, and you're thinking, all right, I've walked into a serious club here. And then you actually see the players that you have to work with.
You got Doherty and you got these people.
It's ridiculous.
You're trying
the infrastructure around the club is like literally next to no one in the world, best in the world, probably.
Yeah. No expense spared.
No expense spared on that. And then you look at this actual squad that you've got to deal with, and it's literally like, wow. How the hell is all this stuff around the club like this? And actual what's on the pitch, what you're actually there for, is completely down to shit.
He said that at the very beginning, to be fair, Conte. He said the investment of the club has to match off on the pitch as it is off the pitch. He said that.
And he said that right at the beginning, but you're not going to fix that over one January transfer window, are you?
Not totally, but you can do. But you maybe don't sell 4 players if you're only going to bring in 2.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, no, you can't solve all your problems in January, but you can maybe find some solutions, and maybe we haven't found enough to his liking, especially at wing back, in crucial areas, and we didn't find any solutions there. So I don't know. It's tough to know exactly what he signed up for, what he was told, and all this kind of stuff. But he did hint at he didn't know the full picture of the problems before joining. So
just like Jose didn't, he also got the wall pulled up in front of his eyes, because like I keep saying, this club is an actual illusion. It's an illusion painted to be a big club, but they're not. And that's just the facts of the matter.
We act like a big club in everything but on the pitch.
Literally.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So look, I want to know what people have to say about. I want to listen to what people have to say about Conte's comments, and that's going to be the main focus of the call-ins. Obviously, we did lose a game. We're willing to talk about that, but Conte's what Conte's saying and how he's feeling and all that kind of stuff is. I want to know what people have to say, and got some super chats. Let's read out some of them as well.
Yeah.
Tin Man 007 says, guys, how many more managers is this board going to fail? What Conte said is 100% truth. The problem is fans don't like hearing the truth. No manager can sort this mess out. Enoch/Levy leave. And that's, look, at the moment, to be honest, it's hard to disagree. This hierarchy is continually having problem after problem with manager after manager. It doesn't matter if it's the best managers of the world or whatnot, or even when a manager does exactly what the remit is, they don't then back him up with exactly what he needs going forward. And that's been a very big problem. And at the moment, if this all goes tits up, which it looks like, it's going to be maybe no way back for this hierarchy. It's going to be very difficult to see a way back for them. Tom Locke says, lack of spending stinks of ENIC trying to sell up. Yeah, I mean, we've heard that before. We know that they're willing to sell, but they put a 3 billion price tag on the club, and it's going to be difficult to find a buyer for that or investment. Bob Spur TV, big up Bob. Hope you're doing well. He says, although I understand Conte's frustration, I just don't think it helps us as a team. Again, something should be kept in-house. Big love, lads. Yeah, I understand that, but I think what he's trying to say is, I understand that way of thinking, and it doesn't help the team, the morale, telling the players they're not good enough, all this kind of stuff. But Conte was hinting at it, I think, in what he was saying. He said, look, I could say that we have another match Saturday and I'll just take my wage, but I'm too honest. I can't think like that. I'm too ambitious, and he needs something to change. And I think that's what he's trying to get at these public comments. He's like, look, I need to shake things up at the moment. I need to shake these players. I need a rally call, because at the moment we're in a disaster. We're 4 losses out of 5. Something needs to change. I can't keep just relaying the messages in-house and giving encouragement if nothing's changing. I need something to change. And at the moment, maybe that's the only way he can think about it, is saying things publicly. I don't know. Jay Newman, Blob, says, ultimately, who do you think is to blame? Come on, the hierarchy. That's who I ultimately think is to blame for the position we're in. That's who I lay the blame, most of the blame at.
How many bloody managers do you think we're going to blame? Is it Poch's fault? Is it Jose's fault? Is it Nuno's fault? Is it even Ryan Mason's fault? Is it Conte's fault? How are we going to keep blaming managers time and time again for the same problems? Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
It's taken Kuva 99, big up Kuva. He said it's taken Levy 21 years to oversee our squad change from what Hoddle had to what we have now. Anyone not saying Levy out really needs to take a look.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think look, at the end of the day, if Conte ends up walking, I don't know how this hierarchy can have a leg to stand on, to be honest. EE says, do you think if Conte leaves, it is the end of ENIC Levy, given the mess of the last 3-4 years and the recent rumour of a sale, even a 50% sale of shares? The longer this lasts, the value will drop. And yeah, I mean,
I don't think the value will drop, because the infrastructure around the club is so amazing, that they've built it to such a stage where they've got so many assets, a £1 billion stadium, a state-of-the-art training ground. Not just that, but they own bloody half the high road at Tottenham Hotspur anyway, and all these golf courses and all this thing. So, I mean, the value won't even drop that much.
Yeah, I agree. So, obviously, the value is better when we're in Champions League and stuff like that, but it won't drop that much. Yeah, you're right. Did we look at Twitter? I can't remember.
We haven't yet.
No,
we haven't yet. Got through all the super chats?
No, we haven't.
Where are we at?
Stephen Cray says, has Conte been tapped up by those Man United gits?
No, I don't think so.
Not yet, I don't think. But it won't be too long.
He's just saying it how it is.
Wolves FI says, Brian has cheering us all Levy out train.
No. Levy has got us calling out the Levy out train, you know what I mean? Yes, Brian does a great job in what he does, calling out the board for a long time, but it's not Brian that's been swaying people's decisions, it's Levy that has been swaying people's decisions.
What? Why is the Wolves fan so? Who is this Wolves fan? Why is he so invested? I don't mind. Look, good. Thank you for supporting us. I appreciate it. I see you in every single live chat.
We love it, mate. We love it.
No, you're not like he's not like a troll or anything. I never see him trolling or anything like that. It's just like, why are you cheering Levy out? I don't understand. Why are you on the Levy out train? I don't understand, but I love it. Thank you.
He's half Wolves, half Spurs.
Yeah, go on, Wolves. Wolves FI. Lim997 says Conte doesn't know how to use Kane and Son. Agree? Disagree. I think Son. I think he's using him as better in the best place in his formation he can. He can't play him a left wing back. He's got Kane up front. First of all, Kane has been brilliant since Conte's come in, so I think he knows how to use Kane. But I think he's trying to fit in Son as best he can. I don't think Son, that's the best position for him possible. I do think, as I said, I do think he can play it to a fairly high level. I just don't think it's his best position. And that's why in some games like yesterday he's going to be a bit anonymous and bad, but in other games he'll play really well.
And in terms of Harry Kane, I mean, he's on great form.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Yeah, I disagree. No, I don't agree with that. Max Stevens, where's the link to call in? It's in the community section for all members.
Yeah, so he put up a super chat earlier on the stream saying, is the call-in link only for members? Unfortunately, today it will be only for members because the lines are already super busy. So if there is time at the end, we will put it out to the public. But I think today will be just for members, unfortunately, because they are super busy today.
And EE says we should start protests in the stadium and make it toxic. The results will do that for themselves, to be honest, make it toxic. But in terms of protests, it might be time at the moment because it's different. Like the way things are going, if Conte does walk, that'll be the time.
Yeah,
that'll be the time.
Definitely, that will definitely be the time. And there's just one more here from Mr. Meru says, say Conte walks in the summer, we get someone like Potter and he fails to make us improve with young players like how Arsenal are doing. We don't get Europe for 3-4 years. Will Enoch sell then? Or will they stubbornly hold on? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone comes into this football club and gives Enoch the money that they want. And I think if a bid does come in, let's say tomorrow, of 3-4 billion that the club actually would look to sell, I think they would sell, to be honest, if a viable option comes in. But they're not going to sell for undervalue because they're shitting out money.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as that's happening, I don't think they're going to sell.
But shall we go have a look at Twitter now to see how Twitter reacted to the game last night and the Conte press conference as well?
Let's see what Twitter had to say yesterday. Where am I? Okay, here we are. Okay, we're getting that up in a sec. And if there's any tweets you think I should be reacting to, let us know in the tweet us at WeAreTottenhamTV. Tag us in any tweets you want us to react to, and we'll get them up. Alex THFC says, does no one know how Conte operates? He's literally like this in every job, acts extremely bipolar and always feels on the edge of crisis. It's just how he works and he's always thrived off it. He's not walking before the summer.
I mean, last night...
Just scroll up, Tim, so they can read that.
Oh, sorry.
So last night it was...
yeah, sorry. Yeah, you go.
I was like kind of thinking, yeah, maybe he will walk before even the weekend. But after thinking about it a bit, I don't think he's walking. I think if he does walk, it will be in the summer because that's an actual way how this club can change is if we act in the summer. We can't act now and change things. That's gone
I don't think he's... Well, I don't think he'll walk. Well, it depends. Look, if results really do continue on this spiral, he might well walk. But I don't think as things stand at the moment he will. I expect results to improve. I don't think we're going to lose every game from now to the end of the season just because we're losing 4 out of 5 games. I think we will turn results around. But I don't expect him to walk now. But he might walk. If we literally on a run of like 10 games where we're not winning, then maybe he would. But I don't think that situation will come. Well, bloody hope that won't come. Salish says, look at the last 3 managers. We were top of the league after 10 games, and eventually Mourinho was sacked. Nuno was manager of the month and then sacked later. Conte had a great initial run, and we're reset to Spurs mode. We need full investment.
How many times this club This club and these sets of players, they can go on a run. There's no problem about that. You know, they can start off when a new manager comes in, a new manager bounce like most teams do have. But unfortunately, everything always reverts back to type.
Yeah.
And that's the situation we're in.
Seems to happen. Charlie Eccleshare says Tottenham Hotspur this season under Nuno, 10 games, 15 points, 1.5 points per game. Under Conte, 14 games, 24 points, 1.7 points per game. A few more losses and he's getting into Nuno form.
Yeah, so true. YL says Levy isn't the reason Conte didn't sanction the Adama deal. Levy isn't the reason Conte is stubborn with 3-4-3. Levy isn't the reason Emerson is at the club. Levy isn't the reason we got outclassed at home by Wolves and Southampton. For once, blame others and not only him. All right, so let's take that step by step. What's the first step?
Levy isn't the reason Conte didn't sanction the Adama deal.
Okay, fine. But Conte, it was nothing to do about Conte. Adama wanted to go to Barcelona. Okay? I hate all this stuff like saying, we didn't act quick enough with Adama. Adama was clearly playing us and he knew Barcelona were interested or something like that. I don't believe for a second that we didn't sanction a deal for Adama. And I don't think it's Levy's or Conte's fault why we didn't get Adama. I think Adama just played us and went to Barcelona.
Right.
Next one.
Levy isn't the reason Conte is stubborn with 3-4-3.
Well, he kind of is because he sold 4 of our midfielders, which makes it increasingly hard to play a 3-5-2.
Yeah, because if he plays 3-5-2 and then one gets injured, we have to go back to 3-4-3 anyway. So that might as well be our main formation.
So go on, next.
Levy isn't the reason Emerson is at the club.
Is he not?
He probably, knowing Levy, he probably is.
I mean, first of all, Levy's the one that hired Paratici anyway, so kind of is in the long run. But when you're looking at Levy's not the reason why Emerson Royale's at the club, Levy's the reason why Kyle Walker left this club, and Levy's the reason why the right back situation has got worse and worse and worse and worse since then.
Mm-hmm. And here's the reason why we're scrambling around on deadline day for a Barcelona reserve right back, where, you know, if we dealt with what, you know, I'm sure we had other options, first choice options. I'm not saying like we didn't do well at the time to get Emerson in, but I'm just saying he was a deadline day signing, lastminute.com, where maybe early in the window we could have gone for our first choice options or right back, that we could have got someone better suited. And so he is kind of the reason Emerson's there. Levy isn't the reason we got outclassed at home by Wolves and Southampton.
Again, yes, he is, because of the state of the squad. How many managers are going to call for a rebuild? How many managers are going to get thrown under the bus until Levy's held accountable for it? He's the reason why this Pochettino team fell apart. He is the reason. So when you're looking at short-term reasons, maybe he's not the short-term reason in terms of the tactics deployed on the day or that kind of stuff. But when you're looking at the bigger picture, it always comes back to Daniel Levy. Always.
Agreed. That was just more. That's Romano quoting more quotes here. So here's a image. Says, never ask a woman her age, never ask a man his salary, and never ask Antonio Conte anything about Tottenham Hotspur. Nice one.
Literally, he's there for a press conference of the game, and usually managers are being like, don't ask me all these surrounding questions, just let's focus on the football. And Antonio was like, look, fuck the game. We need to focus on the real problems here.
Exactly. Lovely stuff. I like that. N17 Way says, be shocked if Conte walks, but if he does, it reflects worse on him. He got a January window and we let 4 players go who he didn't want. All well and good saying they're all shit, but 3 days ago you loved them. Finish as high as possible and force the club to back you. Stop talking.
I mean, to some degree, in terms of stop talking, just do the best you can. I mean, that's all he can do at this stage because the transfer window's shut. I think it would have come a lot better if these kind of comments came either within the transfer window or before the transfer window. But right now, I mean, there's nothing anyone can really do to change the situation.
No, really not. It's up to the players at this point. Adam Nathan says, we had a really good 25 minutes to the start, the second half. Then Sessegnon, the all-time worst, gives away a stupid free kick. Hugo does his thing, and we haven't won a second ball since. We weren't even bad. We've just wasted a whole game that was there to be won.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mayo Abiegu says, am I the only one taking this? This is on Conte's presser. He says, am I the only one taking this as the board are holding the club back, but I just won't sit down and collect my paycheck? I'll keep trying to change this around. That's what I'm hearing, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. I did kind of take that from the interview, but on the other side, he's also saying that maybe he can't change this around, and maybe the club won't let him change it around, and ultimately he will have to end up leaving the club.
Yeah, but he's saying he reads into that. That's what he's trying to say by saying that.
Yeah, and I think that's true.
Yeah, I think that's also mostly what I'm hearing from when he says that. I think it's more shot to the ball than anything. Seb Jenkins says, for whatever reason, Spurs just don't have it in them to control these types of games from the start and take it to the opposition. I know we are away, but the same thing happens at home. We let the opposition go through the gears and react rather than be proactive.
Sorry. Can you read that one again?
He says, I know we are away, but the same thing happens at home. We let the opposition go through the gears and react rather than be proactive. He says we don't have it in us to control these types of games.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue against it, to be honest. I really can't. I mean, the only games that we can seem to really control is up against like a really poor side that come to our stadium, or a side that plays a really high line, really. Yeah,
at the moment, it's difficult for us to control and consistently create chances against that kind of opposition. Nathan Clark says, Couto Romero is a rare centre-back who visibly loves every second of being one. Very true. David Ellis says, okay, Conte clearly upset, and this is damaging a clearly proud man, but he took the job. He will have had assurances about money. He knew it was not so much about now, more about next year. It would say more about him than anyone now if he threw the towel in. Get on with it.
Yeah, you say get on with it, but we've said like quite consistently, if we don't get into the top 4 this season, then what are we even hoping for in the summer?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because if Kane gets antsy, you know, and he wants a transfer, and then we go through that whole thing again, and then he starts the next season poorly and all that kind of stuff, and he pushes for a move. But not just that, it's like what player, real player, what top quality player would want to come here in the summer anyway if we're not into the top 4?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to. It makes the pool a lot harder to choose from, for sure.
I mean, you can bring players here, but you need to play top whack for them. And we're not going to be doing that.
Exactly. And then it becomes a whole narrative, do we just sign anyone, or do we wait for the right player? And if we're waiting for the right player, we're just going to keep playing with the players we have. You know what I mean? That's constantly what happens. P says, I really don't give a toss what anyone says, but Conte should be getting a lot more from these lot against Southampton, Wolves, Burnley. This simply isn't good enough.
Again, I'm refusing. Look, let's put it this way, yeah. Conte does not relieve himself from any blame, because there is obviously blame on all parts. There's blames on the player, there's blames on the manager, there's blames on the hierarchy, right? But you cannot put this all on Conte. You can't, because the same things happen under every single manager. So I mean, how many times are we just going to be like, yes, it's your fault, yes, it's your fault, yes, it's your fault, before making the real people that actually put us in this mess accountable? We can't keep blaming managers. We just can't.
Especially managers who've been massive successes everywhere they've been, and they just happen to be only about a terrible job at Tottenham.
Exactly.
Like, come on, at what point do we start realising that we have big issues here? You know, and you know, you can disrespect these clubs. Southampton, Wolves, they're not easy teams to play against, and everyone knows Burnley's a tough place to go. So maybe this is the best we can do against these kind of opposition under those circumstances.
And also, when you look at it, I'm seeing people last night, people on TalkSport saying, "Oh, if West Ham, if Moyes can get a tune out of West Ham and all this kind of stuff, then why can't Conte get a tune out of Tottenham? The squad at Tottenham is better at West Ham." West Ham lost to Southampton at home. West Ham lost to Wolves. West Ham drew with Burnley. So I mean, it's the same shit. So I don't understand that narrative.
Yeah, I agree. Trevor Lloyd says, I'm not going to dig out Conte for his comments. I love what he said, and it's what I've wanted to hear from managers since the summer. We signed no one. No holds barred on them rats in charge of the club. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Maya Graham says Tottenham Hotspur are absolutely hands down the worst football club in the world to support.
100%. And I said that after the Man City game. What did I say to you after the Man City game? I hate this football club.
Because every time you're at your lowest, they drag you back in. And then once you're at your highest, they take it away from you again. Manny Saini says Royale, Sessegnon, Davis, Winks do not get in the Burnley side, and that's where the problems lie. Conte will be judged next season after the summer window. In the meantime, it's a bumpy road ahead.
Yeah. Do they not get into the Burnley side? I mean, maybe not.
I think that's,
maybe not.
What, does Roberts get into a right back for us? I'm trying to think. Winks, I think, is better than Cork and Brownhill.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Sessegnon, who played left back for them? Eric Peters.
I think Royale and Sessegnon both gets into that team, to be fair.
Yeah, I actually quite like that Roberts. I don't know, Roberts, he's quite decent. He might get into our team. But Peters, I don't think Eric Peters does. Henry Winter says, Antonio Conte is one of the best things happened to Tottenham in years. He's a brilliant coach / tactician. Players want to play for him. He's box office. Fans love him, and he talks so much sense about Spurs' issues. Levy has to work with Conte to drive the club forward. Don't lose him.
That I can't agree with anything more than that.
Yeah,
that's absolutely spot on the money.
Dan Kilpatrick says, probably the key quote from Conte, I'm too honest to close my eyes. You understand, and to continue to say, okay, I want to finish the season in this way, and okay, my salary is good. I'm not that type of person. I have ambition. I think that's the key quote in terms of why he's going public. I think he doesn't want Tottenham to go from now to the end of the season without him saying anything and to just drift into a mid-table position. He won't accept that. He won't accept that.
Yeah.
Euro expert says Conte at the weekend, best players I've ever worked with. Today is a massive contradiction or Conte-diction. If I was Spurs, I'd feel lost and pissed over this.
I mean, I am lost and pissed over this, but I think the way you explained it just a bit before about the comments, I think was bang on the money and spot on, to be honest.
Yeah, I never read into what he said best players I've worked with, because he's continually said the quality is not so high. So I doubt he's going to just quickly switch and say, oh, all of a sudden this is the best set of players I've worked with quality. But I just think in terms of willing to work and that kind of thing. That's what he means by that. This is a Del Piero quote we were talking about before. I was in London to speak Conte a few weeks ago, and he was super happy about Tottenham board and facilities and stadium. I feel the problem is about players. He needs to win titles. They sold 4 players in Jan and only signed 2, which indicates to me that Conte sees that as a problem.
Yeah.
Cody Mack says the Conte dilemma summarised. Nothing has changed at the club, and that's the problem. There's been no commitment from the club to change the situation quickly. Conte has no patience, does not want to waste his or the club's time or money. January wasn't enough, not even close.
Yep. And yeah, another one that's spot on, to be honest. Conte has never really had the need to be patient anywhere he went, because he's gone to clubs. Why'd you sign Conte? Because you want to win now. You want to make a big change now. You want to improve massively or dramatically what's going on that football pitch. Look at Chelsea. He came in when they were 10th in the league. Yes, I know they've got a better kind of infrastructure around buying players and stuff like that at the club, but ultimately he came in when they were 10th in the league and went on to win the league. Not in his first season, but in the next season, right? He went on to win the league.
Yeah.
Inter Milan, they hadn't won for ages. He goes in there, he gets what he needs, and he wins the league. At Juventus, they weren't exactly going through a great time as well. He gets what he needs, he goes in there and he wins the league. So unless he gets what he needs, what's the point of him being here?
Yeah, agreed. That was the whole point of him signing, and we thought the mentality was going to change, but clearly it hasn't. Jack Law says Jose lost to Everton, Antwerp, Leicester, Brighton, West Ham, Arsenal and Zagreb. Nuno lost to Passos, Palace, Arsenal, Vitesse and West Ham. Conte lost to Mura, Southampton, Wolves and Burnley. Common denominator are shit overrated players. Until they go, nothing changes.
Yeah. We've said that quite consistently here.
Why Conte, Nuno and Bruno Poch were set up to fail at Tottenham, a thread. We can't go into a thread right now.
This is a long thread. It's a very long thread.
But you go check that out at the Portuguesa if you want to check out the thread. Maybe we'll go do one. We'll go through it one day, but not right now.
One day. One day, Ramos.
HLTCO, the Palace fan, says it's hard not to feel for Spurs fans. Just days after scoring a 95th minute winner away at Man City and experiencing that rare sense of pure euphoria, they're brought back down to earth with a 1-0 defeat at a drenched Turf Moor. It's as if they're never allowed to be truly happy. Pretty much sums up.
That is a Spurs fan summed
We're
up.
we're never allowed to be truly happy.
We are a cursed football club.
Exactly.
Cursed by Daniel Levy.
It's like enjoy the wins now because that loss is around the corner.
And no Spurs fan in their right mind, no Spurs fan that has been around the block a few times with Spurs with this football club was confident of this Burnley game.
Yeah, everyone said it.
City game.
Everyone said it. Well, it's the Spurs thing to beat City and lose to Burnley. We actually won and did it.
Not only that, but to lose the previous games like we did as well.
Yeah. All right, that's all for Twitter from now. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to react to and we can bring it up. But that's all. That's all for now. The tweets.
All right, so that is how Twitter reacted to the 1-0 loss yesterday. Now it is time to have your say on the goings-on at Tottenham Hotspur. And let's be honest, we've got a lot of people calling in today. A lot of people want to have their say, so I got a feeling we could be here for a while today. But let's start off with our first guest, and that is Ryan. Big up, Ryan. How you doing, mate? I think you're on mute, Ryan.
It's been a long night.
I can hear you, mate, now. Yeah, it has been a long night. Did you manage to get much sleep?
I got up about 11. Long drive back from Burnley.
Yeah. How was the feeling in the away end last night?
It was quiet. It was very, very quiet, almost as if everyone predicted they knew what was going to happen. We sort of all went up there hoping we were going to win rather than knowing we were going to win. Like a big club like Liverpool, City, they don't care about these little clubs anymore. They'll just go there expecting 3 points. We don't go to big clubs, other clubs and go, we'll go there, enjoy the day out. We know it's 3 points. Every game's a struggle.
Yeah, that's definitely right. What do you want to start off with first? You want to talk about the game or you want to talk about Antonio Conte? Or maybe we should just skip the game and just talk about Antonio Conte.
We'll just talk about Conte. I personally think he may walk. He may walk before the end of the season. And that is going to be probably the best thing to happen.
In terms of?
In terms of the club not being able to brush it under the carpet. Mm-hmm. They won't be able to hide from it. Fans won't be able to forget about it. And then we can all just look at one man. Yeah. And that's upstairs.
Yeah, and I think...
Because I was going on and that was going to be raging, but it's difficult to rage after, because you've slept on it like that. If you got me on during the drive home, I would have been absolutely going batshit crazy.
Yeah, you seem a bit calm now, Ryan. You're a bit too calm for my liking.
If you want, I can rant for you because I can rant about the game because it was just diabolical from start to finish. It was the worst performance of the season.
Worst performance of the season, you think?
It was the worst performance of the season.
Worse than Palace away?
It was worse than Palace away.
Worse than Arsenal away?
Because Palace away, it was worse than Arsenal away. Because just for the fact that we knew we had a slim chance coming in that we wanted. We all felt that we could maybe build on City, and it just never got going. Everything about that performance from start to finish was a joke. We know what Burnley bring, and we play into their hands every single time. And it Kulusevski, even after 3 games, you can just see, yeah, he's a good player, but he's predictable, always cuts in. We talk about replacements. We found our Lamela replacement. Always cuts in on the left. The only difference is he doesn't do ball rolls.
But you know, back on Conte, right? What do you make out of this kind of situation we're in now? Because do you not think that he knew the issues that he was walking into at this football club?
I think he knew the issues off the pitch because it's always been touted in the media. It's been said by the past couple of managers in rhyming, you know, in poems, you know, that kind of stuff. He's got the balls to actually come out and just say it how it is. The owners are running this club into the ground. It's a cash cow to them, always will be. I didn't realise until I looked on Twitter about 20 minutes ago that the PR from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium actually put up a tweet saying that The Apprentice was going live from the Skywalk, and the amount of abuse that was in the replies forced them to delete it.
Yeah.
On the pitch, I didn't feel he knew. He may have said, look, he said it was a great group of people he's worked with. Best group. Yeah, they're probably a nice group of lads. They honestly are. They seem like a great group of lads. But it's the worst team he's ever worked with. Worst team of players.
That's facts.
We are in a worse state now on the pitch than we were when Enoch first took up.
You think we'll think we're worse than back in 2001?
I mean,
it's worse on the pitch.
In 2001, I mean, we were very, very poor.
We were a bottom half team back then. We're a bottom half team now.
We're a bottom half team now. We've got to lower our expectations. Look, 12th in the league and a decent cup run, and I'm talking like a quarterfinals, pushing semi-finals. It's a good season for us. It really is. Without Kane and Conte, we are battling relegation, guys. Honestly, I honestly believe that.
I'm going to read through you some of the players that we had in 2001. You tell me if any of these players get in our team. Goalkeeper, Neil Sullivan. Does he get in our team?
Laurie starts.
Okay.
Starts. He'd probably be on the bench, Ed Galini.
Left back, Maurizio Tarico. Does he get into our team?
Yes.
No,
Ed Sessignon. He starts for us. He starts for us against Burnley. I really do think that. Ses is not good enough. He's a championship player.
Goran Bunjevich, Chris Perry, Gary Doherty.
Chris Perry starts.
Gary Doherty starts at right wing back.
Oh, come on. Gary Doherty.
Gary Doherty.
No, come on.
Gary Doherty was never a right wing back. He was either a centre back or a striker. And he was shy at both.
I'd have any of them. They can play anywhere.
Chris Armstrong, Alton Thelwell, Anthony Gardiner, Matthew Everington, Stephen Clements. You know what I mean? Tim Sherwood, Les Ferdinand, Teddy Sheringham. Teddy Sheringham doesn't get in ahead of Harry Kane. So none of these players that I'm mentioning get into the squad that we're in now. So
they're a cohesive team. There's no team there.
There was no team there then either. That's what I'm saying.
No, they were a team. They were a team. They were a team. This team here, it's individuals. It is individuals. Kane is an individual. Okay, everything revolves around Harry Kane. Okay, if Harry Kane and Son, if they're not on it, as we saw yesterday, we're not scoring goals. We really are not.
I agree with you, but to say it's we're in a worse state off than in 2001, I just don't agree with that. But I completely agree with what you're saying, that the hierarchy have put us in this situation where, you know, where a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, we were fighting for leagues, we were fighting getting to the Champions League final. To go from then to where we are now is completely not good enough and not acceptable. I completely take that and I agree with you.
2001, we reached the League Cup final.
Yeah, and we reached the League Cup final last season too.
That's what I'm saying. It's the worst state we've been in since then. It could be worse. It could potentially be worse than 2001.
Interesting.
I honestly believe that this club has sucked the life out of fans. I travelled to Burnley 4 hours in a car, 4.5 hours, and 4.5 hours back. Not one player has gone online so far that I've seen and apologised for that performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't start looking at players for apologizing. Like I don't like when we're looking, because I don't think players should be apologizing publicly on social media for performance just because they lose a game. It's like I hate when a player misses. I hate when players miss a penalty and then they're forced to do an apology.
Wasn't there. And I've said to you about the formation with 3-4-3, 3-5-2. Okay, the reason why Conte's playing 3-4-3 is because we've only got, especially now, we've only got 2 fit midfielders because Bentancur came off at half time.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has to play 3-4-3. The reason he could get away with playing 3-4-3 at Chelsea is he had Conte doing the dog's work for 2 people.
Yeah.
Go to every other team. Inter Milan, it was 3-5-2. Juventus 3-5-2. In Italy 3-5-2.
But at Chelsea was 3-4-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's saying because he had Kante to play 2 roles.
Yeah. No, you're spot on there, Ryan. You're spot on. Spot on.
I think that's absolutely right. But do you really think he's going to walk? And when would he walk if he does?
If he walks, I think if we get knocked out to Middlesbrough, he walks.
Wow.
Do you think we will?
I hope not, because I'm driving up there again.
All right, Ryan. Thanks for calling in today, mate. Good to chat to you.
Good to chat to you, Ryan. Nice to see you.
And we'll speak to you in a bit, mate.
See you, Ryan.
All right, that was Ryan. A lot of angry Spurs fans at the moment. Let's just get through a few of these super chats before we bring on the next blockbuster. Andrew Seeley with a super chat. He's left a super chat with no comment, but he actually followed up that with a comment saying, I think it's early to panic. I still think he's making a point to make sure Levy and the board understand their situation and get their act together. I hope so. And El Saeed saying, funny thing is, Conte is the one who keeps saying we should be patient. I understand he's passionate, but he should have shared his thoughts with players, Paratici or Levy, but with the media. It's actually a good point, actually, because Conte is always calling for patience.
Yeah. And also, it's important to know, as much as he has a reputation for being outspoken and he has a reputation for leaving if he doesn't get what he wants, I don't think he's ever left mid-season before. I don't think he's ever done that.
No, I don't think he has.
So, even at Inter Milan, he waited till the end of the season, won the league, and then left a few days later. So, I do find it hard to imagine he will actually leave mid-season.
This is Tottenham Hotspur we're talking about.
Yeah, you never. We're a team of firsts, aren't we?
Exactly.
First team Mourinho never won a trophy with. Could be the first team Conte leaves mid-season for.
Anna Hill Dawes with the super chat saying, if so many managers can't fix the problems, there are bigger fundamental problems higher up than a manager can fix, and we all know it. And I think that's spot on. Absolutely spot on. And I think that we say that quite consistently. And another man that says that quite consistently is about to come on and have his say, and that is Brian Daigle. Brian, you got too much of a smile on your face for my reckoning.
Oh, you're on mute, Brian.
I can hear you now, mate.
Yeah.
Wait, Brian, can you maybe reconnect? Because there's something weird going on where each word keeps repeating itself when you speak.
I'm not sure, Brian.
There seems to be a really bad connection.
Apparently they can't hear him, he says.
People are saying they can't hear you as well. Yeah, we'll bring you on first as soon as you sign back in.
All right. Let's move on to the next guest while we wait for that.
Yeah, let's bring on Aravind, and then we'll move back straight on to Brian Daigle. But Aravind, what's going on, man?
We win against City, now we come against Burnley, and we lose against them. classic Spurs.
Can't expect anything less, can we, Aravind? You were so hyped for the Man City game. What went wrong yesterday?
You know what? The game is over. Before the game, I go positive, but it's now time to reflect. And I keep on saying this again and again and again. There are many players in this squad which doesn't know how to play in the Antonio Conte system. And there's one player which I was focusing properly was Emerson Royal. Is absolutely atrocious. Can't even put in one proper cross into the ball, into the box, even when he has so much of space. And that is one of the reasons why Conte's system is not working, because either Sessegnon can't beat a man, Emerson can't get in a cross, because his system will only work because you see, even in the Manchester City game, Emerson Royal had a lot of chances in the breakaway. There was a lot of spaces for him to create a lot of chances, and he makes the wrong decision. Same for Sessegnon, where he doesn't know how to beat a man, he can't cross a ball. So I agree why Conte is pissed, because when you want a manager to he has a system to follow, and then players can't play that system, it totally tells there's a bigger problem than what is it right now. He can't, and I don't see what fans are saying that it needs to be dealt internally. How many managers have dealt it internally? Pochettino has dealt internally, nothing has changed. Jose Mourinho might have dealt it internally, nothing has changed. It's good, I think so. Fans should know the truth, tell it out, because these parasites are not going to change if we keep on hiding their mistakes. Tell it to the social media. Tell us what is it. I think so. These people deserve it. They've given a lot of chances for 21 years, and I don't give a I don't give a shit of what of the status they belong, because they don't want to bring Spurs into a higher status. Then why? Tell it out, tell the truth. It's better to tell the truth to the fans than keeping it internally, because nothing is going to change internally if they're going to deal matters. As if Daniel Levy is going to say, okay, Conte, uh, I agree with your mistakes. We're going to change. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Nothing is changing. It's better to tell the media and let us talk about it. Then I think so. Him himself can reflect on what people are saying.
Wow. In terms of Antonio Conte, do you believe that he will walk from now until the end of the season?
If he, I have a feeling if he lose against Leeds, he's gonna walk away. I don't know. For some reason, he feels really pissed. I don't want it to happen, but you know what? Like, if I have a feeling that he may stay till the end of the season, but if there's 1-2 losses, he may walk off. If there's 1-2 losses, if we're not gonna get the grips back, I don't see him staying unless is there any assessment? I don't know what assessment is going to have with the club. Is there any backing, or is there anything which there's going to happen in the summer? So I don't know what's happening in the summer. Uh, but it all depends upon what Danny Levy is going to talk internally inside with him. What he's going to promise. What's he there to convince him to tell? Okay, here, this is what we're going to do. But so it all him walking off the club, or him going into some other direction. It's all dependent on what discussions is going to happen between them in this week. That will tell it. If he's not going to back him, and if Levy's going to say this is how I'm going to follow, he'll walk off. There's no point of staying here. Then it makes total sense. So the assessment will totally tell whether he'll walk off or not. It all depends. So if he's walking off next week, it totally tells that this club is not going to do shit in the summer. They're not going to do anything in the summer. If he's going to stay till the end of the summer, and he's going to believe in something, then that is something which is going to happen in the summer. But I highly doubt. And when all these media people will come and say that we're going to have something big in the summer, big in the summer, big in the summer, that's nothing happening. There's nothing going to happen in the summer unless anything changes from this club, and big decisions need to be taken in this week from the club itself. Like what is the plan, what is going to happen further, because the planning itself is not good enough from this board. Like there is no planning of what we want to achieve in this club. It's just okay, sixth, fifth, fourth. Yeah, we're just happy of where we need to be. I think so that's the main reason why we are not succeeding where we want to be, because there isn't any plan. So I think so there's a big assessment that I want to see the big assessment which is going to happen and what the reaction is from himself, because I am confident that Conte will talk up about this club in more detail to the media by next week, even if it's a win or a loss. So we'll see what is it by next week.
Okay.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, it's difficult at the moment, isn't it, Aravind? What would you say to people who don't like what Conte is doing publicly and think that he's wrong to be speaking so brazenly about the situation?
I, I just want to tell to the people, like, Antonio Conte is an emotional person. We have seen it. And I totally, as much as I do agree that it's bad for the players because he's speaking openly and he's telling the truths openly, which needs to be done internally. For Daniel Levy as a chairman, this is a right move for him. If it was someone else, I would agree, because he's been here for 21 years and no manager has spoken openly to him. And we were telling this before he was joined. If something is going wrong, he's the first person to speak openly to the fans and to the people. Because for him, right, Antonio Conte, it's going to hurt his ego, because he doesn't want, he's not a manager who's going to accept 4 losses. So that it's more about what he wants. It's regardless of that, he's emotionally attached to it as a sport where he likes the sport. He wants to win week in and week out, and he's been to clubs which is ambitions and where victories have come back week in and week out, and board has backed him. So if there's a reaction which he's showing over there to the fans, is more towards him saying that he's very unhappy and he's a person who doesn't like to be in the situation. And I feel I feel the players itself, I don't think so they'll look at in the wrong way. They'll look at themselves and reflect on themselves, because if someone of that caliber is talking about shit about the squad, it's something which the players itself need to take responsibility. Oh, top quality managers won everywhere and is a prime is in his prime. If someone is talking so emotionally disattached, and he's someone, look at him. He likes the sport. He loves the sport. He wants to achieve a lot with Spurs. He's the only person who comes out with such like with not fear, but with such, like, he's very disheartened. I don't know what the word to say it, but very dull, and he wants to give so much to this club. I can see it from his face, but he's not able to achieve it because the club is not giving the resources to him, and the players are not doing enough for him. That's Antonio Conte, and that's why he's a top quality manager. He speaks openly to the heart, and I really love it. I wish he continues to do it if something is wrong. I know there's a lot of details that he doesn't need to tell us. That is something else. But if something is of a very high thought and a big thing, then that needs to be told to the people.
All right, Aravind.
All right.
Big up, Aravind. Great call as always,
I
my
just
friend.
want before I go up, I just want to big up someone, the Tottenham away people, because I had been commenting over there and they had uploaded a reaction video before the Burnley match of what I spoke. So I really want to big up Stel, Iggy, and all these people who have been really supportive to the fan itself. So uh,
All right, big up Tottenham
All right,
away,
big
big
up
up
Tottenham
Stel,
away.
and big up Iggy. Big up
and all
Aravind
the
as
other people
well.
who are behind it. I'm not named many of them. I might have forgotten them. So sorry if I'm not good with names. So Brian, if it can be Brian, it can be anyone who is over there. So yeah, sorry for it.
Big up, Aravind. Thanks for coming on today, mate, and we'll speak to you soon.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. All right, let's see if Brian Daigle's camera and microphone is working again. Let's bring him on. Brian. On mute, Brian.
No, it's
Oh, it was our
sorry,
end.
Brian.
It was our end. Sorry
our
about
end.
that, Brian.
Brian!
Brian, for God's sake, man. For God's sake, man.
No need to apologise, Brian.
Still can't hear him. We can't hear him. We can't hear him.
No need to apologise, Brian.
Brian, for some reason, nobody
One
can
sec.
hear you apart from us.
That's really weird. We can hear you loud and clear, but apparently no one can hear you.
I've just turned on the stream and apparently I can't hear you either.
It's really strange. We can hear you loud and clear. Why can't we hear? Why
This
can't
is really confusing. I'm not sure
we'll bring you back
why.
on in a sec, Brian. Apologies. Why always Brian Daigle? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
That's really strange.
We'll
It's
try
only
another
Brian
time.
as well. It's literally only Brian.
Yeah, we can hear him loud and clear. I don't know. Apologies about that, people. Translate him, someone says. Let's get George on for the meantime. Hey, George, how you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, not too
Nice to
bad.
see you.
Not too bad considering the circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can start with the game. George, what did you make out of the game last night?
Listen, overall, I'm not really that surprised. Hand on heart, I was hoping, obviously, that we would at least come away with the draw. But it's the same story, really. I mean, we're relying on the system with the wing backs. The wing backs are just not up to that sort of gameplay. We don't have any or much creativity coming through the centre of the park. So it's you know, they push up as far as they can. The crosses don't come through. Sonny's performance yesterday wasn't great either. And it's only going to take a single goal, and that's what happened. I mean, it's really sad, but it is what it is at the moment. And I'm coming through to the realization that this season is going to have to be potentially a write-off if we're going to do anything going forward. And the painful rebuild is exactly what it is at the moment. It's painful. We've just got to try and keep Conte on board and take it step by step. It's going to be tough.
What do you think of Conte's first of all his comments and maybe his state of mind right now? Do you believe there's a real possibility of him walking for the end of the season? And do you think he was right to make some of the comments that he made in the media yesterday?
I think there is a possibility. I think that he could walk, but it's. I think he won't do that. He won't do that mid-season. I think he would wait till the end. I think his comments yesterday were brilliant. I think someone has to say it, and he is the right person to say it, and he's the right person to react, because he is Antonio Conte, and when he speaks, people listen, and you can't keep blaming the managers, which is something that a lot of people have been guilty of. So you've got to say it how it is, and that's what Conte did yesterday. I think his comments again, it's quite a Mediterranean thing. You know, you go into irony, and I think his comments about maybe I'm not good enough. I think what he's actually saying here is, look, that these players are lacking quality, and he was very, very frustrated at the situation, and as were all of us. So you can't go and beat the champions elect and the champions in 1 week. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was a relatively convincing performance that we put in, against Manchester City, and then go and lose to Burnley, albeit Burnley are a very, very good outfit. I've seen them play several times this season, and some of the football they play is very un-Burnley. Actually, it's very good football, very very sort of great build up, and they played their hearts out yesterday. Probably deserved to win.
Yeah. What would you say to people who say that Conte should keep those comments in house? He shouldn't be making them public, and maybe what he says could be damaging to the dressing room.
No, it's what I say. I say, look, someone's got to say it as it is at some point, and this is the way it is. So we've gone through the whole Poch isn't good enough to take us to the next level. We've gone through, Mourinho's just a toxic manager. We've gone through, Ryan Mason doesn't have his coaching badges yet. So what are we going to say about Conte? It has to be said that the board has performed abysmally historically. The decisions have been appalling. As far as I'm concerned, they're incompetent. It may be a strong word to use, but it's the only word to use when you see the disarray that we're in at the moment. And the blame is obviously at the foot of the board and Daniel Levy, but it's a case of how do we move forward. The board Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis are not about to sell this club, especially when they come in with valuations of £3 billion. It's just not going to happen. So looking forward here, they've got Conte in, they now have to back him. So they've got to sit him down in a room and say, look, we appreciate that the results aren't great and we don't hold you responsible. And this is our plan A and this is our plan B. Plan A was getting into the Champions League. That's quite clearly not going to happen now. So it's got to be plan B, and we've got to try and rebuild the squad with players who have who are going to try and make a name for themselves, young players, bring them in, and hopefully that Conte can bring them in, sort of bring them up to put us up back in that position. But at the moment, it's just he's frustrated, he's upset, as is the entire fan base, and I would just rather he said it as it is, and I commend him for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, George, and where does this leave us now from now to the end of the season? I mean, if we don't get top four, which is looking increasingly likely now that we're nowhere near the top four, where does this leave us in terms of moving forward as a football club? Because if we don't get top four, does Harry Kane and Conte make noises about leaving once again? And if they make noises about leaving once again, who comes to this football club?
Well, Harry Kane, we've got to have that expectation that he's going to leave. He's going to be 29 next season. He's at his peak, despite what people are saying about his performances this season. And he's at his peak. He's going to move on. If he's not playing in Champions League, you can't have the expectation that he's going to want to hang around. I'm sure that the board will try and give him some sort of financial incentive to stay on, but I don't think that that's going to be in Harry Kane's remit. The main thing at the moment is to try and keep Conte on board and replace Harry Kane with as best player as we can possibly can in respect of a striker, that can, you can't replace Harry Kane, but you've got to try and get somebody in who's going to be good enough to put the ball at the back of the net sort of consistently.
Okay, George, thanks for the call, mate. Brilliant as always, and we shall speak to you soon.
Nice to see you, George. Come on.
All right, let's keep going with the guests. Well, actually, let's get through a few super chats first, and then we'll go to Dan. But Luke Diamond with the super chat saying, owners provide the best platform for management failure. Managers get the most from the players at your disposal. Problem solve, in brackets, failure. And the player's job, be accountable to give 100% failure, which he's saying that they are all to blame.
Everyone obviously holds some sort of blame, but I think the owners at this point, like, how many times do they have to get things wrong when they're talking about backing managers and talking about dealing with situations at the club? from footballing perspectives. Like, are all these world-class managers just not as good as we think we are as soon as they get to Tottenham? Is that what's happening? Is that what we're saying? Or is Tottenham the problem? I mean, you've got to think about it.
And Dan Fries, member for 17 months, big up, says, chant back Conte instead of Levy out. Latter does nothing, but if we show we are fully behind Conte, Levy may back him. It's all on the summer window. I don't know if that's true, to be honest, because I think that if you sing back Conte, I don't think it will have effect on Levy. And I think we saw the effects on Levy it had on when he got toxic towards him at that Man United game, and we saw he acted upon it straight away. So maybe singing
Levy out actually makes a difference. Yeah, it's true. That definitely affected it. But you got to say the Levy out chance, and I don't know. We'll see if Conte gets backed, but I'm sceptical.
Let's go back to Dan. Let's bring Dan on.
Yeah, here he is.
How you doing, Dan?
All right, best I can be, really. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, loud and clear, my friend. I just hope the people in the comments can hear you as well. I don't know what was happening with Brian before, but...
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, I've seen you being very vocal in the comment section today about a few issues here and there. Let's talk about Conte first. I mean, do you think he actually will walk from now until the end of the season? I'm
not sure as I was previously, but I'm more erring to the fact he will stay till at least the summer. It's the problem is when he's giving interviews like this, that doesn't make it seem too certain. And I know it's probably for reasons to direct it like at the back of house, but it doesn't help us fans either when trying to determine, the stability of our own club.
Yeah, but also what doesn't help us equally as a fan base is when people stay silent and people act just like everything's all right and everything's going to be okay when, maybe it won't be. So do you agree with what Conte said last night?
I'm somewhere in the middle. He's been giving interviews like this throughout the season, and we all know what Conte's like. He's an emotional manager, and he's done this before at pretty much every club he's been at. The problem I have is last night's one. I actually think personally that last night did overstep the bound where he should be speaking. Because personally, as much as I think I don't disagree with what he's saying at all. I don't think he's wrong. I think that he's right to be angry. I think we're right to be angry. The problem is, if you think there's any hope for this season, I don't see how it helps it whatsoever. That interview for me is pretty much like throwing away what we've got this season. Because, yes, we can say the players aren't good enough and we can say the players aren't performing. Problem is, when you've got a manager coming out and essentially saying, club might as well sack me, don't know why I'm here, players aren't good enough, we're not good enough, we could be flirting with relegation. What is that going to do? What is that seriously going to do? If there's any slim hope for top four, that interview gets rid of it for me, because I don't see how the players will be able to perform from now on, because that stuff does affect, we're all human beings. That stuff does affect you. I agree with what he said previously when he's been saying the level of Tottenham is not so high. You're correct. When he's saying that we struggle to get 3 points, you're correct. All that stuff I agree with. Last night was too far. I think last night was too emotional. And I think especially given that last week, we've been going through this kind of torture for weeks now. Last week, with all that stuff with Sky Italia, he spent a while trying to put out the fires, and the club trying to put out the fires from that, because we were all losing our minds, to then go to Saturday. And yes, great result, and feeling on top of the world, and saying things like, it's one of the greatest group of players I've worked with, all of that. Back down now, it comes on borderline schizophrenic. Honestly, that's the problem I have. You can't. By all means, go with the angle. The club is not so high. I agree with you. Say all that stuff. I just thought last night was too far. And it's just, it is kind of contradictory of what he's saying. So we don't know where we stand.
What's contradictory?
Well, saying stuff like this is one of the best group of players I've worked with, and saying we could be flirting with relegation. I understand that the level of Tottenham is not so high, but this is too far. That's seriously for me. I think it's too far.
He's never once questioned the work ethic of the team or how hard they work. And I think maybe he was talking about that when he talks about this is one of the best groups he's worked with. Is he not talking about maybe their willingness to get on the training pitch and work hard and try for the team? Because I don't think even yesterday he didn't question that. Do you not think maybe that's what he was talking about?
Yeah, he's saying we're working hard and everything, but the problem is when you're saying to them, we can't think about this, we're thinking about 10th, 12th, 13th, that is going to have an effect. And whether you're saying it directly or not, you are talking about the players as well. He's saying stuff about, the manager's changed, but the players stayed the same. He's talking about the players which are here right now. And so he is giving blame to the players. He is digging them out, and quite heavily, in my opinion. Maybe I'm interpreting it in a different way to what other people did, but I feel that is both on the board and heavily on the players. It was so kind of scattergun into the way he was like firing at everybody. He was blaming everything, kind of going, why should I even be here? That's when I have it. Like I said, Saturday's one thing, and this interview was like a direct opposite, near enough for me. He's saying, why should he even be at the club? And you hear reports today coming out that was a rallying cry. I don't see how that rallies players, personally. I just don't see it. Like I said, I think especially with what happened last week. And come on, he's been in the game a long time. He knows how the media are going to take what he says and twist it or emphasize on it, anything like that. And he was talking last week about the fact that the media is trying to make problems between the manager and the club and saying that's bad. I don't know whether he's given club lines, but I don't think Conte is the kind of man who would recite that. He was talking about the media taking what he's saying and using it to cause problems for the club. And then he's coming out and saying all this. This is what's causing problems for the club right now. This is what's meant that all these news reports are coming out. And you're seeing journalists saying, oh, yeah, he's off. Yeah, Tottenham in the mud, all of this. That doesn't help, personally. I think it is a step too far. Like I said, I don't want people to dig me out in the comments and say that I'm completely against Conte and everything he's been saying. I do agree with everything he said up to now. I just think that's too far.
I get what you're saying, Dan, but from the players' perspective, if they're hearing this coming out in the press and stuff like that, and they're hearing Conte's words in the press conference, do you not think that they will look at that and try and want to prove this manager wrong, this manager that has won everything everywhere he's gone? Do you not think they want to come out there and prove him wrong?
I think previous comments he said would make them want to come out and and make a change and spin the club in a positive direction. But I just think when the manager's saying he doesn't want to even be at the club, I don't see how that does rally them. I don't see how that does rally them and go, because they're thinking that this guy doesn't even want to be here.
I don't think he is saying he doesn't want to be at the club. I don't think he said that.
I think you can interpret it. The fact that you can interpret it that way itself is an issue, I think.
Well, which part?
He's probably saying, maybe we're saying, I'm trying to remember specific quotes. Maybe I'm not so good. Maybe the club should sack me. Pretty much what he's saying. Maybe all these things.
Do you think maybe he's being facetious?
Perhaps, but like I said, the problem is when you're coming out with all of these different, very quotable lines, you're giving the room for people to spin it however they want, especially the media. That's the thing. It's giving these sound bites. In a situation like that, when emotions are running high, it's better perhaps to just leave it low for a bit. Leave it low. At least to the fact that we've got it's such a stark contrast to what's been said previously in terms of recently on Saturday. It's such a stark contrast.
Yeah, but maybe he's feeling with 4 losses out of 5. He said at the end of his press conference, I could say, we have another game Saturday, and I could take my salary and just say we have another football game, we go again. But he said he can't accept a situation where results are this bad, and he just sits here and says nothing. That's what he says. So what should he be saying?
I think sometimes you have to, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to swallow it. You have to not be completely honest, and you have to just get through to the next fixture. You have to just get through to it because, I don't doubt that he wanted to say all those things. I don't doubt that he probably wanted to say more. But what he did say doesn't help in the right.
But maybe the problems. What if the problems are bigger than what we are seeing from the outside?
In terms of his relationship with the club, do you mean?
Or maybe
the whole picture, really.
Yeah, maybe with the players as well. That maybe if we thought there was a chance of we could drag ourselves to top 4, and he's kind of saying that's not realistic. What should he be saying?
Well, I think we as fans realise that it's probably all unrealistic. We as fans realise that we've been screwed for years by mismanagement of the club. We as fans all know that. But you're feeding into the fire way more than perhaps you should be. Like I said, previous stuff is fine, but I think especially just the fact, I think that we have so much kind of chaos, and the meltdown's one of the worst I've seen on social media and everything after last night. That is driven a lot by what he said. That's driven a lot by that. And I think that you're welcome to say things, that about how you feel, and I want honesty, like you said previously. But you need to rein it in a little bit so that you have room to maneuver and room to kind of push through to the following games. Because for me, this does. I'm not saying that he sabotaged it or anything like that, but it does damage our hopes of winning in the next few fixtures, because you have to build the confidence for the players. You have to try and build confidence, and that's hard when you've got bad results. But you have to try and spin it in a way where they are driven, and I don't think that, to the lengths of what he said, does drive the players to do that, because I honestly think the season at this point, we might as well write it off, say for like a good run in the FA Cup, because we might have these games in hand, but at the same time, we're not getting those points in the games in hand. We could be above. We could have been above United. We could be above West Ham now if we win those games in hand. But are we going to win them? Probably not. What are the games in hand? Brighton and what's the other one? Arsenal, exactly. We love to think that our home will be Arsenal, but you can't bet on that with their form. So confidence of the fans is at an all-time low. Confidence of the players must be very low, and it's just feeding into further chaos around the club, to the point where, it does build more confidence. The fact that even in the summer that he will probably go, but it's just what are the fans?
He said, but what Conte's saying is we've already hit the disaster instead of actually waiting for we're not waiting for it anymore. Like after Wolves, didn't he say after Wolves game, it was one of the best performances he's had under Tottenham
he said the performance was good.
And he was like maybe that was trying to give him confidence. And then obviously we did beat City, but we've lost to Burnley, and he says he has to see that 4 losses out of 5 as a disaster.
Yeah, well, but the fact he also said, that we could be 10th, 12th, 14th.
Yeah, maybe that's a wake-up call. Is that not a wake-up call for these players?
I think what he said previously had been wake-up calls, some of what he said. But honestly, if the players aren't awake by now, then they must have turned off their alarms. Like, I don't think you need to wake them up by this point. I do wonder, especially because there's so many players, and you can identify the specific players that are low on confidence. Because I don't necessarily buy into what certain people say about certain players, where they're just absolutely crap and it's not worth it. There are certain players you can see with like Steven Bergwijn who run on confidence, and you need that confidence. And if your confidence is being hammered down, it's harder for them to put in performances that we want them to. It's like Emerson Royale. I think that Emerson must be low on confidence, and I don't buy into what people say about he's a crap player. I think he's playing out of position in a new league that he hasn't probably adapted to yet. But he's not going to play better now. He's not going to play better if his confidence is so low.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair play. Some decent points there, Dan, I have to say. I think you made them pretty well made. But yeah, I think that's it for now.
Dan.
Like I said, I do agree with the fundamentals of what he said before, and I back him to high heaven. I just think that we need to be careful about what we are giving to the media to spin. I think we need to be really careful about that, and Conte does as well.
All right,
Dan. Always great to chat to you, my friend, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks very much, guys. Have a good one.
Nice one, Dan.
A new super chat here from Plugin Baby saying, this club is so detrimental to my mental health.
You can say that again.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Let's keep going, and let's try and go for a third time lucky with Brian Daigle.
Now,
I can hear you. Can everyone hear you?
that's the big question.
That's the question on everyone's lips. Can everyone hear Brian loud and clear?
Please, God.
Yeah,
Please,
I think
God.
they can,
we can hear you.
Muzzle top! Okay, so yeah, just another day in paradise.
Yes, sir.
Just another day in paradise, mate. Listen, like I was saying before, I need to know when we're going to the tattoo shop again, so I can get We Are Tottenham Entertainment TV put in, because we're a lovely entertainment centre. I don't want to talk about the game, to tell you the truth. I had family commitments, didn't really see much of the game.
You can imagine how it went, Brian.
Yeah, of course we can.
What a great game you missed, Brian. And by the way, I blame you for the loss last night, because it would have made a hat-trick of wins here in the studio.
It would have, but then also I realised we were together for West Ham, weren't we?
Now let's just brush that one. Let's just brush that one aside.
Yeah, but you know what's gone as well? We were all waxing lyrical on that coach home. Spurs haven't lost a game outside of London. Spurs haven't lost a game outside of London. Well, that took long, didn't it? So yeah, do you know what? I mean, I was on here on this channel last week when we were talking about the first interview Conte said, and I said I think this is going to be the first one of a series of interviews, not just like that, but where he's going to be calling things out. And well, he certainly did, didn't he? He certainly did. And do you know what? I'm happy he's doing it. I'm happy he's doing it. I've got to the point now. I'm tired of hearing, oh, but it's going to affect the players' confidence. Your confidence you've just beat Man City. Your confidence should be at an all-time high. It should be an all-time high, and then you put in a performance like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Conte again playing this 3-4-3. We all spoke about it. It's his default setting, and I know that's what he wins with, and fair play to him. But when he's done it, he's had the players to do it. And that tweet that you were analysing from Will, where it said Levy is not at fault for this, Levy is not at fault for that. Levy. So I've been saying this saying for a very, very, very long time, which is the second those players step over that white line, Levy has absolutely nothing to do with what they do on the pitch. But the very fact they are on the pitch has everything to do with him. And that's where the fault lies. And again, Ben, you were saying it, like I said all along. If Conte walks, Son walks. If Conte walks, Kane walks. If Kane walks, Conte walks. Then you could add Son into that equation. Because Son at some point will say, well, what the hell is going on here? Our club, at the moment as we speak, the actual footballing aspect of it is on fire. And instead of pouring water on it to put it out and assist everything in the football inside, they're pouring bloody petrol on it. They're pouring petrol on it. I mean, Ryan Isaacs spoke about it. I'm one of the people that I retweeted the, whoa, we're on The Apprentice tonight for the Skywalk. What is this PR team doing? What is it doing? We just lost another game, but let's announce that the Skywalk is going to be on for about 30 seconds on The Apprentice. I mean, what direction? This club is going one way and is entertainment only. I mean, the players, they are fundamentally not good enough. And this is going to be more, yes, we got players in. I even said to you when I was actually on the show with you, when I said at the training ground, when it was 4 out, 2 in, or 5 out, if you include Gil, I can't remember the exact number out. It gets to the point where fundamentally, personnel-wise, we were weaker. By mathematical, obviously, players in the squad. That's a fact. But yes, we got 2 players in, and everyone got so excited that the saviours are here. But we haven't addressed fundamental places that it needs to be done. And then we hear this, oh, let's wait till the summer. This is going to happen. Well, you can't do it. We've been here. We've been on this rodeo before. This isn't the first time. We are in such a bad mess. And like I said, Levy he's not at fault for every single thing like the performances. But the fact that the PR are putting things out like they are, surely there is somewhere you could say, what the hell are you doing? They need to get the South Korea tour. Okay, announce it. Stupid timing once again, especially 5 months early when you should be doing that for transfers instead of going to Bahamas during it. But after a defeat, to announce that we can be seeing the Skywalk on the... Come on.
Do you think there is a chance for Conte to go before the end of the season?
Is there a chance? Yeah, there's always a chance.
Do you think it will happen?
There's always a chance. There's always a chance. Listen, no matter how long this carries on, in every walk of life, with every manager, there's a case they can walk. Just with us, obviously, it's been intensified a hell of a lot. Personally, I pray to God he doesn't. Personally, I think it's the summer. But those comments yesterday, and apparently almighty Levy, the parasite, the chosen one that everyone loves, he's not happy about the comments. Well, boo fucking who? I'm not happy with 21 years of your blooming dictatorship. I'm not happy with 1 trophy in 20 years. 21 years. I'm not happy with broken promises. Deal with it and do something. Listen, I keep saying it. We all want a successful Tottenham. No matter where you are on this spectrum. And the way you get a successful Tottenham isn't by having a skywalk, isn't by doing all these stupid things. It's investing in the squad. Backing a manager. And that's what you've got to do.
Brian, let me ask you this. If Conte does walk before the end of the season, would you put any blame on him?
If Conte walks,
Yeah.
not a single part. Listen,
No blame
people
whatsoever.
No, mate, no, listen. One thing I will say, he even said in the interview, I'm being honest, I'm not here just to take a wage. Listen, the problem is, Conte knew what he was getting in Levy. Whether Levy said whatever, a gentleman's agreement, he was stupid enough to believe it, if he did.
Yeah.
But Levy was stupid to hide. He was a panic. Obviously, he had to, after sacking Nuno, he had to do something. Because obviously at the Man U game, we were all at the Levy out chance starting big time. And he had to react. And he did. But what is the point of getting him to just say, here you go, deal with this? The very fact, listen, we talk about the strength in depth and everything like that. Bentancur gets injured. Like I was saying on Tottenham on tour the other day, we are one injury, whether it be Dyer and his organisation or in the defence, whether it be a Bentancur, a Kulusevski or a Højbjerg or a Harry Kane and a Son away from disaster. Because there's no one ready-made to step in and do the job of their calibre or anywhere near their calibre. But this keeps on happening and we don't get these players out and we can't get them out because of the money being asked. So teams don't even come in. Even if they want to come in, they're like, oh, God, we've got to deal with him. And, mate, how many transfer windows are we going to need to even begin to repair the damage? Like I said to you last time when I spoke about the defence. Look at that defence compared to when Poch had it at peak, where you had 6 or 7 players that were, you would say, you wouldn't matter during the peak Poch time, you wouldn't care how that defence was organised. You knew that Tongan and Toby played in that centre, but maybe Dyer played in a 5. You wouldn't care either wing backs because they were doing the job. You can't say that now. You can't say it.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to what Dan was saying before in his call, that has Conte's comments killed off any sort of hope we might have had between now and the end of the season? Has that that his comments is sacrificing some future results? What would you say to that?
Well, then, again, I mean, first of all, I said at the beginning, top 5 is just top 4, so it's just to be a push because of the squad depth, not because of the quality of player, the squad depth. I'm not going to go, but listen, we all get to bitch about our jobs, whatever. We just don't do it in the public eye. It's hard earned facts. Do you know what when I did the membership chat where you get every month you get a free super chat, whatever you call it, and I said, do you know what? I like that this isn't being kept in house, and you were like, well, Levy didn't keep it in house. Sorry, Levy, fucking hell, Poch, Jose, but they did this at the end, where the fire was the petrol was getting poured on the fire already, and it was near the end, so there weren't time to rectify this. He's been here and done it from the outset. He hasn't waited till things start turning sour, as in like a couple of years in, or when Jose was losing it and the fans were really, really getting on him. This is with everyone with Conte's backing on the fan side. He's called it out straight from the start. Rather than wait until we don't know if it's near the end of his tenure now, because obviously those damning words that he said yesterday. But either way, let's hope it's not. He's come out and said it from the get-go. And like I said, I think this is the fun. Don't be surprised if this won't be the last one. This won't be the last one. I don't know what people have got to do to realise. There was a comment. There was a great comment in the chat ages ago before you started getting guests in, and I wanted to highlight. I can't remember who said it. So if you're here, fantastic. Do you remember when Arsene Wenger, the Arsenal, were trying to get Wenger out, and they had that banner that said, "Thanks for the memories, Arsene, but time to go."
Yeah.
What were we going to say? Thanks for the 2 pitches. Thanks for the goddamn goal line bar. Thanks for beers that float from the bottom to the top. Thank you for all those. Thank you for the skywalk. Time to go. We're a football team. And that football team is being stripped bare and obsolete. And that's why people are going absolutely crazy and why I've been this way for 14 years. And I understand. I'm very, very outspoken. I understand that I rub people up the wrong way. But this is because it's been 14 years of this. Whereas other people may have snapped at other times during this tenure, so may not be as, or still may be in his corner. If they are, you're totally entitled to your opinion. I respect that. But the reason I am like this is because it's been 14 years. 14 years of listening to the same crap. And the only thing that's growing is our expenditure and properties and investments and attractions. And we get told everything's coming into the club. Well, I ain't seen a single penny of it going into the club.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue otherwise, to be honest. I mean, it is hard to argue otherwise.
It's
Nothing
mate,
else to say, I guess.
What more is there to say? I mean, this happens and we get, listen, if he walks, we've had Poch, we've had Jose, we've had Conte. Let's face it, the other three elite managers in world football, or kind of elite, I'd say Klopp and Guardiola, Tuchel because he's won a Champions League, but they're like elite. Not in their wildest dreams. Even if we had all three of them together, we wouldn't be able to do anything because they don't get backed. You set up everyone, any walk of life, no matter what job you take, whether it's a shelf stacker at a supermarket or you guys doing your stuff or Amazon or Uber, you set everyone else up to succeed, to expand, to grow. We aren't when it comes to the football inside. We aren't, and we don't, and we won't till they're gone. Yeah. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of people in the comments going, leave you out, let's start protest, We've been doing it. The protests are still there at every single home game, where 62,000 people go to that ground. Now, I'm sure not all 62,000 people will leave you out. Let's face it, some are away, some are directors, whatever. But you've got about, let's say, 57,000 fans at a Tottenham at a home game. You're telling me none of them are leave you out or say leave you out and let's protest either on social media or in these comments, whatever. Go to the game, but don't go and stand there. That's the thing. We're still there. I won't be as of next or for any home games because I'll be gone by Everton. But the lads are still there. The ladies that are with us are still there. People walk past and take their photo. If you leave me out and you want change, you have to help support us. You have to. Because the only way they're going to listen is when their money gets impacted. And the only way down with we're only going down with managers. And I'm concerned, as I said to you as well, Ben and Sim on the channel, when it comes down to it, this transfer window wasn't going to, wasn't only going to be to show Conte we mean business, but was to show Harry Kane, we're going to match your ambition. We want you to win trophies at this club. We want you to succeed. Well, that was just done its job, hasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Brian.
Brian, always great to talk to you, my friend. And
always a pleasure. And as you know, and as always, Levy out.
Nice one, Brian.
That was Brian Daigle, ladies and gentlemen. Super chat from Carl Jackson with no comment, but thank you for the support. He sent another super chat in saying, why haven't we a strategy for a low block?
Well, low blocks are always historically the hardest things to break down. That's why teams play a low block. So I don't think it's just a case of us not having a strategy. It's just very hard. But yeah, I think why we find it more difficult than previous teams under like Poch is just the quality of players supporting Kane and Son to try and open teams up. It's just not there. And also the wing backs. That's what you need to bring a low block. You either need the wing backs to have superb quality like a Trent or Robertson, or you need like a Bernardo Silva, David Silva, De Bruyne, someone who can unlock defences. That's why City and Liverpool don't have problems creating a low block, creating chances against low block teams. Yeah, we do. And, you know, that's it.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going with the guests. First of all, a super chat from Stephen B with no comment. So
Stevie
thank you
B.
for the support there, Stevie B.
All right.
Let's go to Big Mike. Big Mike, how you doing, brother?
Oh,
Come on, lads.
Oh, no, he's there. Yeah.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Hello?
I mean, yeah, no, can you hear us?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I think there might be a bit of a delay here, but yeah, what were your thoughts on the game last night, Mike?
Well, the game was very appalling. I'll try and summarize it very quickly. Surprisingly expected, I think is the statement I'm going to use for it. I was surprised at the performance, but I'm just not unexpected now for the result. So it's poor. The players let me down. I came out on the pre-match pump-up show with chest. You know, I thought we were going to win the game. I really did. I thought we were just going to win it. But, you know, here we are speaking about Conte's comments. Obviously, it doesn't surprise me that it's gone onto the board throughout the callers on the show. And I resonate with every single caller that came on. Dan, Brian just now as well, in the sense that Conte has created some negativity, which I agree that he should do. But the reason why that's happening is because of the board. We have to go back to the Poch era where he didn't invest for the record-breaking number of 500 and whatever days. You know, that's what no one's ever going to take that away from Spurs. We're going to hold that for the rest of our history as a club. And he's responsible for that. And we are paying dividends today for this, what I think is the fatal mistake. You know, it's the fatal error. If Conte walks, this is what I'm going to say quickly. If Conte walks, as a fan base, we got to do something now. It doesn't matter who comes in, Ryan Mason, Graham Potter, whoever, it's time to act. You're going to see me there with Brian Dave. I'm going to meet him in the flesh. I'm going to get the posters up, whatever we got to do, stop people spending money, because it's got to the point where there is no one better that is going to be able to get us through this painful rebuild. I don't want to hear about going back to Poch if he goes. I don't want to hear about any of this. It's all nonsense. If Conte walks, the board have failed us over a period of 21 years. What are we going to do? How much more time? So time is done for them. So that's all I can really say to summarize it. I've lost it. If Conte goes, it's the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Final straw.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. But what do you say to fans who maybe feel that Conte should not be saying a lot of this stuff publicly?
I say suck it up. I say it's time to man up. I really do. I think, you know, what are we going to do? Why are we sugarcoating an issue that's been going on, you know, since Poch has left? We've got to be honest. And probably, for me, I'm going to call it from when we didn't invest. From that first day, we didn't invest for 18 months. It's from then. So what's that, 5-6 years? For 5-6 years, we've been witnessing this dross of performances from a team that has not been invested in correctly. Poch actually drew blood from stone. I don't know how he did it. He got wine out of water from the squad that he inherited, turned them into world-class players, what some believe. But the reality is we only made Kane, maybe Son is the only two players that are world-class in our squad. Everybody else is up for question. That's the reality of the situation. The players let me down yesterday. They let us down. And I think Conte has every right to say what he wants to say. If the board don't like it, they're going to make a decision, aren't they? If they sack him, the fan base are going to turn on the board. If Conte walks, the fan base are going to turn on the board. So I think it's a win. I know it sounds a bit weird, but looking at it, I think it's a bit of a win-win for us, what Conte said. Either they have to back him drastically or we have to take drastic action. So I like it. For me, I'm at the stage where, yeah, sometimes actions speak louder than words. I'm done with trying to sugarcoat it and that kind of thing. So that's where I'm at with that. I think Conte did the right thing.
Do you think it's possible that Conte's comments could have a positive reaction on the players, or do you see what Dan is saying, that there's no way that players could possibly react in a good way to those comments?
Dan's 100% right, but also you're right as well. So it is a coin flip. So it's about mentality. We have to come back to this word again, unfortunately. It is about the mentality of the players. Are you going to let it beat you down and, you know, you make it, oh, I can't do it, you know, and you know, get depressed and mope around? Are you going to man up and prove what you're worth? Are you the £40 million player? Are you the £50 million player? Are you the £150 million player? Can you do this on a consistent basis at the highest level? That's on them, you know, as players for me. So yes, it could have a negative effect, but if it does, then it just means they're not the right mentality for the squad, which probably we know the answer already, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately so. You're probably right. Do you think Conte's comments kind of kills the season in a way, or or was it already dead anyway?
I came in when we hired Nuno. I wrote the season off. I'm not going to lie. So for me, the season was written off when he got hired. Obviously, we had the great first month, player of the manager of the month, and then sacking next month. So that summarizes that, that epiphany of hiring him. So for me, for Conte to come in, I think the fact that we're even talking about the top, this top four race, if you will, that's a testament to Conte. He took all of those players that weren't performing. We were bottom at the league for all the physical stats, and then overnight we were top of the league for physical stats, and we've more or less maintained that. So I'm not saying that's the be all and end all, but he got the work rate up. But now there's a quality issue. We know there's a quality issue. We haven't invested. So I forget the premise. It's hard not to derail my train of thoughts here because there's so much going on. But essentially, Conte has done amazing work so far in his tenure. We need to back him. I don't want to hear any Conte slander. I don't care if it's 4 losses in the last 5. I really couldn't give a crap. The season's written off from when we didn't get it right at the beginning of the season. We need to give, patience. Like Conte said, I know he hasn't been patient yesterday, but you can only imagine. Imagine if we got interviewed 5 minutes after that game. We would probably be saying some things that we would regret now this morning as well.
Definitely.
So that's why I didn't come on the show last night, because it would have just been me ranting like I am now.
All right. Big Mike, good to chat to you as always, mate. Thanks for calling in. I'll speak to you very soon.
Take it easy, guys. Keep up the good work and come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Come on.
All right. Super chat from Azad Hamid says, if Conte walks, we should all consider finding another team. How long more are we going to put up with this nonsense? And Eugene Park says, hard to talk about football when the innocent are being killed in Ukraine. Obviously, yeah, it's a terrible situation over there. But this is a football channel. We don't talk about politics, unfortunately. But yeah, let's bring on Bobby K. It's Bobby K. It's Bobby K. It's Bobby K. We're going to, I think that tune, he's on mute. Is he on mute? Is it you? One sec.
It's me.
It's him. All right, Bobby, I think that tune might exclusively just be for you soon if things keep going the way they're going.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. That's the only reason I called in. I just wanted to hear my song and get back on a high after yesterday's low. So I appreciate that. Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Yeah, see you, Bobby.
You know what, guys? First off, everybody's doom and gloom, so let's cheer things up a little bit. I just wanted to say happy anniversary to everybody. 14 years ago today, we won the cup.
Happy anniversary to everyone.
Exactly.
We're getting close to our diamond anniversary.
February 24th, 2008, we lifted a trophy.
Oh, what a day. I was there. Oh, man.
And you know what, guys? This is just classic scenario for us with the roller coaster ride that we go through and everything. And sorry, first off, how you boys doing?
Sorry,
so how you boys doing other than the football?
Yeah, look, trying to keep it together. This club doesn't do well for, as someone said, this club is terrible for your mental health. And I tell you, it's toing and froing all the time. You're beating Man City, losing to Burnley. Conte's praising the squad now. He's threatening to leave. You never know where you stand with this club, do you? But I want to know what your take is on what Conte had to say last night. And do you agree with what he said and the manner in which he said it and the timing and all that kind of stuff?
I'm 50-50 on that, to be honest with you, Sim, because at the end of the day, he tried doing the positive reinforcement just recently, and that didn't work. So, now he's doing the kicking a dog while it's down kind of thing, and let's see if we can get a reaction out of that. Mourinho tried that. It didn't work with this. There's clearly a very negative atmosphere. There's a really negative mental atmosphere at Tottenham that needs to be adjusted. Now, if we're going to go up the food chain, obviously it starts at Joe Lewis and Levy. And like Brian was already saying, that those are the guys that need to be held responsible for the on-field product. If we're going to sit here and say, okay, well, this player had one bad game, this and that, they didn't have the right mentality, or this is, it's the player's fault. Well, he's the one that's put those players on the pitch. He is the man that signed the checks to bring these people in. And this is what we're left with. And this is what we have to kind of look at as our club. Now, it's just, I think the biggest kick in the teeth is that we're just coming off such a high from the win in Manchester that this was just such a low. But I don't think there's anybody that's overly surprised, because this is almost classic Tottenham. We went up to Burnley. We know they're bottom of the table, and we just decided that we're going to let them, have a few points to keep this, their opportunity of staying in the Premier League a little bit stronger, while we just throw away our opportunities. We've thrown away 9 points at minimum 3. If you're going to sit here and say we lost to Southampton, Wolverhampton in this game, there's no reason they shouldn't have at least, at minimum, been draws. That's what the big clubs do. They grind out a result regardless. They get a point at least, and we failed to even do that. So we're dropping points left, right, and center to clubs that they shouldn't be, even considered to be at our level, but we are. It's just the reality of what it is now. Like you guys were touching on earlier, yeah, as much as we want to knock on Lo Celso, Ali, and Domblé, one of them would have been pretty helpful yesterday because of the way that midfield was crammed up, and we weren't getting too wide. Unfortunately, I was only able to watch the first half. As you know, I start afternoon shift, so I missed the second half. And from my understanding, after going back and watching the highlights, there was like 3 minutes of highlights, which shows you that there wasn't really much going on. And a lot of them were some. I don't know what Sonny was thinking about when he didn't put the ball over to Kane. I don't know where his mentality is, but then we can blame it on fatigue. They just had a big emotional game a few days ago, and they're coming off of that. They're mentally and physically fatigued now, and now they get this kick up the ass, basically, and a boot right up there that shows them, look, don't walk around on cloud 9 or on a high just because you beat City. There's 19 other teams or 18 other teams in this league that you got to compete with as well, and any team on any given day can win. It just doesn't seem to be us that is that team that can win on any given day. It's maddening.
Yeah, you could have probably picked the worst game to play after City. It was probably Burnley away. You probably could have asked me which is the worst game I want to play after that, and it would have been that one.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and that was the problem. So you said you were torn about what Conte had to say. Why do you think maybe it was a bad thing that he went so kind of nuclear?
Because kicking a dog while it's down is never really, productive. Let's face it. Now, we're going to sit here and talk about how these kids should have the mental strength. We've paid the money for them. They're professionals, and they should be able to step up and do their job regardless of any criticisms. If you're going to take the praise when you're doing well, then you know what? Take the criticism when you're not doing well. It's a mixed bag. You get both kind of thing. You don't get to pick and choose which side you want to be on. You don't get to just say, I want to only see the good stuff and the happy comments regarding me. I don't want to see any of the trolls or the true comments that are kicking me while I'm down or I'm not performing well. At the end of the day, if you're going to take the praise, take the criticism. But like Big Mike said, step up and be men about it then. Now, let's see you actually react to it then, and let's see what your reaction is going to be. But the problem is, we are looking at, I was just looking at this while I was on the phone in the background here, 21 years, Conte is our 15th manager.
16th, I think he is.
15 from what I was looking from when they took over. March 2001 is the count from I was doing, because Enoch took over in February 2001.
From George Graham, yeah. So from
their changes in March of 2001, this is the 15th now. But it's again, what is the common denominator for our failure though? It's the top of the board. Now, everybody wants to sit here and blame the players and no, we shouldn't be so hard on Levy, and he's done so well to make us a really pretty ground and hey, we got great facilities, fantastic facilities. Like Brian said, we got beer that fills the cup from the bottom. Amazing. What another great magic show, another deflection by Levy to distract us from the on-field product. Again, this man is an absolute genius at the distraction tactic. He would make Harry Houdini proud. He is so great at deflecting from the real issues. It's unbelievable. But again, we've discussed this before. I don't want to sit here and fully say Levy out and Enoch out, because I'm terrified of what could potentially happen. Because if we do Levy out, Enoch out now, the people that come in to purchase us are going to buy us based on a business entity, because we are not a good football club right now. We are an average football club at best. And we've got a handful of marquee players that are surrounded by mediocre ones that look average because of the good players. But in reality, they wouldn't make probably 14 of the teams in the league. But I don't even know where to go with this one anymore, because it's just so we've become divided as a fan group as well. This is all getting to us in our core, and we're fighting amongst each other, saying, your opinion is bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about, this and that. We need to unite in the fact that if we lose this man, who is considered to be one of the top 3 managers in the world, I can't see anybody wanting to come here. If he walks away, if you have the best man available walk away and say, guys, be very careful what you're getting into over there. It's not what I thought, and I was misled, and Daniel Levy lied to me and basically pulled the wool over my eyes, then who would want to come here? Brian Mason is the only one I could think, because he probably wants to get his coaching badges and, is Tottenham through and through. But it's scary to think what the future will hold, because forget top 4, we'll be lucky to look at top 8, top 10.
All you have to do is look at our managerial search in the summer to see how difficult it is to find a good manager to come in and replace what you already had. And that's evidence of how difficult it will be if Conte does walk to get an adequate replacement in.
I don't think he'll walk. I really think this is just a guy that's a heart on the sleeve kind of guy. He shows us emotion. He's very pumped up and animated when we're doing well and everything. He's right in the stands, cheering with the fans and everything. He's elevating them. He's raising his arms, telling them to cheer and get behind the players and everything. He's just an animated character. He's just an emotional person. And I like that. I like seeing that. And I've got no issue with him calling people out. But when you do it so shortly after giving them such high praise, you're sending mixed messages. You're sending mixed signals. And I think that's what is confusing then. A lot of these guys, again, they're kids. They're very young. They're with Royal coming in and everything. He has one good game, one bad game. We go from praising him to basically raking him over the coals again within a span of a few days. I don't doubt he sees this stuff on these social media sites and everything, and he's like, yesterday they loved me, today they hate me. And it's going to emotionally, mentally affect these guys. But again, do we go back to what Big Mike said and say, well, you know what, toughen up. There's a reason you're getting paid this amount of money. Mm-hmm. This is part of what it is to do. You're not getting paid to just play football. You're getting paid to have the mental strength and everything, to be able to deal with this aspect. You have to, the mental strength to go out there and be able to take on teams like Burnley at Turf Moor in bad weather conditions. It's a package deal kind of thing. Like when we go into our jobs, we're not paid to do one specific task. You have to do other tasks that are part of your job. And it's the same thing with these guys. There's other tasks that are involved that are part of their job. So you guys got to step up and do your part. I don't understand Conte's logic in kicking them right after like that, and kicking them so hard, I guess, is what the issue is. Mm-hmm. If it was maybe a softer punch or something, it might have been easier for us as fans to swallow. But maybe it's time for the gloves to come off. Maybe it's time for him to stop punching with the kid gloves and everything like that, and give these guys a good wallop and say, look, these are not the teams that we should be dropping points to at all, in any manner, especially 9 points. 9 freaking points lost to these guys, and we're sitting here talking about how we're going to be in top 4, possibility of top 4. I'm right now, I'm just hoping that I'm praying for the possibility of Conte finishing the season with us, getting into the summer, and getting back properly. And I think, again, I've said it before, this summer is going to be a major one for us as a club.
All right, Bobby K, great to speak to you, man. Good to see you as always.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Speak to you very, very soon.
Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K. Here's Bobby K.
There you go. You know how to lift a man's spirits. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Okay, all the best.
See you, Bobby.
And to you, brother.
Take care. Thank you.
I told him it might have to be his exclusive song soon if things keep going the way they are.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. All right, let's go on to our next guest. And you know who it is. You know who it is. It's KPV.
Hello.
You all right, Kyle?
Go.
Yo, back again.
Back again, yep. How
Yeah.
did your night of FIFA go last night?
Okay. Just yeah, I played FIFA 21 because I don't play FIFA 22 that much.
You love Jose that much?
No, because I only play FIFA 21, not FIFA 22, because I read on Twitter a couple of weeks ago that EA suspended so many accounts for getting their division rival rewards, and they kept getting them over and over again. So EA suspended some accounts and they identified them. So I'm glad they didn't suspend my account because I don't play FIFA 22 that much. I only play FIFA 21, and you probably already saw my team I sent you on Instagram, didn't you? I sent you a picture of my team on FIFA 21.
Oh right.
Oh, I have to look at that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure one of you is probably the holder of the account on Instagram. I sent you it.
We're both the holder of the account. But look, let's talk about Antonio Conte's comments last night. I mean, what do you read into them? Do you think he's going to walk by the end of the season, or are you confident he's going to stay?
Like, I think I'm confident he can stay. Like, he will stay. But Daniel Levy needs to back him. Like, Daniel Levy has not backed every manager we've had. Like, I agree what everyone said. Like Brian, like big up Brian. Yeah, like I agree what he said. Like, what we supposed to say? Oh, thanks for the memories and time to go. Like, what we supposed to say, man? Seriously, like last season we had probably the best season. We were top league for God knows how long. Then we go on this bad run and lose games. Like, I don't know why we appointed Nuno because he was perhaps only won 3 games and then get sacked after the Man U game. Levy out. Like, yeah, like what are we supposed to do? Like, even if Conte walks, then like I don't know. Someone said in the chat like find another team. Like, I like City. I think they're the only team I'd support. Like, I don't know if you guys like City that much.
Yeah, City are a very good team.
Like, I could, like, even if Kane goes, then who are we supposed to get that can score 25 goals a season? Benzema?
Yeah, I can't think of a player we can bring in. But is Conte going to resign, Kyle?
I hope not, because Daniel Levy needs to back the guy. Like, Conte's a serial winner, for crying out loud. Like, the guy's won everything he's been. Everywhere he's been, he's won pretty much everything. Like, Conte needs to be back, and Daniel Levy needs to get the players that Conte wants in the summer. De Vrij, Vidal apparently wants to come. Dybala, like the players that Conte wants, Daniel Levy needs to listen to Conte. Like,
but will they come if we don't finish in the Champions League spots?
Well, you're probably right. They're not going to come if we don't finish top 4. Like, we've got Kulusevski who's on loan, and apparently we'll get him permanently if we finish in the Champions League place. But that's not going to happen. But like, we need to win our main games if we want to get that Champions League spot, because that's where we belong. Like, everyone just plays on Thursdays and we play on Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, just bring back the Champions League nights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, then all is forgiven. But we need, like, I want to get back into that Champions League spot because we've not been in it since what, 2018-19, when we were close to being eliminated after the Barcelona game, but
the last time we were in the Champions League, we got knocked out by Leipzig under Jose Mourinho.
Leipzig, like, yeah, because they have the guy that seems to score against us, Timo fucking Werner. That's the reason we were knocked out. And like, why would we even have Bayern Munich in our group? Like, we all know how that turned out. We got battered 7-2. Like, we should never have had Bayern in a group because Dortmund was probably better. Like, I think there's only one man that can probably Davis, and that's probably Ryan Mason because he's Tottenham through and through. But I asked you guys before, who do you want, Llorente or Crouch? But bring Llorente back because he was brilliant. Like Crouch, maybe might as well bring Peter Crouch and Llorente back, two of them. I'd bring both of them back. They were brilliant, but bring the tall guy, that is Crouchy, back because
May as
he's the
well
one
bring
that.
back Jermaine Defoe and Michael Dawson while we're at it as well.
Yeah, Dawson, he's Tottenham through and through because he was on Sky Sports last night watching, I think, was it game last night? One of the game, I don't know, but he's been on Sky Sports, he has. So bring back the captain, that is Michael Dawson, because, like, he just signed a contract, I don't know what, at the start of 2013-14, then goes to Hull City, like, and Nottingham Forest, and yeah, he's Tottenham through and through. Just bring Dawson back, and like, I can play. Sign me up, Daniel Levy, or else we're falling out, mate. You're getting a slap in the face. Too good. But Levy out, Enoch out. They need to go, man. Who's gonna take us over? Like, who's gonna take over Tottenham?
You, Carl,
No,
you'll take us over.
I probably will. Like, I can be the chairman, and like, but Kane ain't gonna go because City wanted him in the summer, but 130 million, that's not what Daniel Levy asked for. He wanted 150, but they lost probably the greatest player, Aguero. But they can go for someone else like Haaland because apparently he's going to leave in the summer. Like, go for Haaland because apparently Haaland's dad has a good relationship with City. Then go after the Norwegian striker. Like, why can't we go after someone if Kane does want to leave? Like, I don't blame the guy. He's 29, I think, and he's been here for 20 years. Like, just we need a French player that, like Benzema, like Lloris will probably want him, and Musa Sissoko scored last night. Big up to Musa
You want him? You want him
Sissoko.
back? You want Sissoko back?
Sissoko, yeah.
Yeah, because Sissoko was brilliant, but I want some old players back. Like, who else is there that we want to bring back? Anyone? Lamella?
Why don't we bring back Teddy Sheringham? Bring back Jurgen Klinsmann.
Defoe's available now, isn't he?
Bring back Graham Roberts. Maybe Graham Roberts can still have a run out now. Mickey Hazard.
Yeah. Mickey Hazard. Like, yeah, like, bring back those guys you said. Then, like, I sent you a picture of the team that could have won us the league in 2016-17. Yeah, I put it on my story. Then I posted that picture of the team that we don't have anymore. We've only got Kane, Son, Lloris from that Pochettino team that could have won us the league. But Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, those two were the best we ever had. The offensive record under the two seasons under Poch, that was probably the best. Like, bring Toby and Jan back because Toby's been watching every single Spurs game.
Why don't we bring Jedson Fernandez back?
I thought you guys done your what? I think you done the play ratings during the pandemic in April 2020. You guys, Ben, I think you gave him a 5 because he was that poor.
Probably less.
Like, why did we buy him in January 2020, even though he wasn't going to play? Like, Bergwijn came, I think Bergwijn done a lot better, but when you done your player rank 2020, you gave Toby a 6 or something. Like, I know he signed a contract then, but it was because Mourinho came. But yeah, he probably shouldn't. But he was there for 6 seasons. Like, we should never have sold Dembele in the first place because Trippier does have a point, and should never have sold Trippier, who's now starting to score free kicks. Like, who's good at free kicks that can take them? We don't have anyone. Dyer's been missing them. Son and Kane, I don't know. We need a free kick specialist. Just bring one in, for God's sake. Who is there?
Ward Prowse.
Ward-Prowse. Like, he's now took 4 points off us, man. We should have beaten them on Boxing Day or something, but 1-1 draw, like, paying offside, bullshit. VAR is pissing everyone off.
All right, Carl. Thanks for coming on today, brother. We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, I'll probably see you again tomorrow. Hopefully you can bring some FIFA content back, because everyone wants to see you bring back some FIFA content. Tomorrow, maybe, you're gonna, like, don't listen to someone that said, oh, try and buy the Judas on Ultimate Team. Fuck off. No. No one.
We won't listen to it. Don't worry,
Don't
Carl.
worry, Carl. Don't you worry. We're in good hands here.
Yeah, like, I thought Teddy Sheringham was on Ultimate Team, but FIFA 17, but is Bobby Moore? Try and buy Bobby Moore. He's brilliant.
We don't buy Bobby Moore. He's a West Ham player. We only buy Spurs players.
Oh, like Ginola Lineker.
Yeah, Ginola's our next one.
Oh, Ginola, it is. Like, I've got Tim Cahill, the hero card, and he's been playing brilliant for me. That's on FIFA 22 only, but...
Carl, I think FIFA chat is for another day. Today we're focusing on Tottenham and Antonio Conte, but we will be bringing back the FIFA streams just for you, Carl. So don't you worry about that. We'll speak to you in a bit.
Come on, you Spurs. And now is Levy and Enoch out.
Come on, you Spurs, and come on the
See you, Carl.
Bigger.
Speak to you soon, brother. I think there are some super chats to get through. Did you get through them?
Apparently there's one up here from the Americanka I missed apparently earlier. It says, every manager is the fall guy by telling us what we want to hear, only to be fired and scapegoated. Conte is breaking the cycle and the club deserves it.
Yeah.
That's maybe he's trying to break the wheel. Stephen B, I didn't read that one, yeah. Managers have been Levy's scapegoat for years. Conte knows what the club needs. Will Levy treat the club as anything but a business? Attack the root.
That's exactly right. But anyway, I think, is there anyone else? That is it for today. A good 3 hours, over 3 hours, 3 hours and 15 minutes of Tottenham therapy for you guys. We're going to be back with player ratings, 5 takeaways as well, and all the clips from the stream as well will be with you very soon. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.